Chapter 12-17. Yi Hua's smile froze as he looked towards Donghuang Baiji. What are you trying to do? No problem. As long as the lady knows how to play a musical instrument, it will be fine. Hearing that, the Abba Sang was very happy. This lady's appearance is really speechless. She is simply able to stun everyone. Baiji, you are trying to cause trouble again. Yi Hua hugged onto Donghuang Baiji and said gravely. Donghuang Baiji pouted her mouth. You were the one who laughed at me first. Am I laughing at you? Hurry up and admit your mistake. No, you were the one who bullied me first. You should admit your mistake first. Baiji. I realize that you are a bit arrogant these few days. Ba, Yi Hua said gravely. Fine, if you dare to go, I will call Miss. I won't go, alright, old master. Donghuang Baiji gave in. To actually use such a method to threaten me, can you be reasonable? Patting the empress's butt, Yi Hua looked at the Abba Sang and said faintly, you can leave now. Young master, this isn't good, right? How can you obstruct this lady's great future? The Abba Sang advised. In the future, this lady will definitely be a top performer. Yi Hua asked faintly, what great future? What kind of future can she have by singing here? Young master, you are gravely mistaken. Where is this? Dingzhou's Qinggu country. The biggest country, countless rich and powerful families live in Qinggu country. With how outstanding this lady is, she will definitely attract the attention of many feudal lords. Think about that scene, it will definitely be unprecedented. As he spoke, even the Abba Sang himself became excited. Yi Hua finally found out that this is one of the 9 provinces, Dingzhou, and it is also the biggest country. Could it be that there is such a building? This is really interesting. He is my husband. Donghuang Baiji said faintly. Not playing anymore, time to reveal my identity. The Abba Sang was startled. This is the first time I saw a husband bringing his wife to a brothel. I am simply speechless. Perhaps the two of them had a heavy taste. The Abba Sang spat a few words and turned around to leave. Yi Hua said in a low voice, if you dare to cause trouble again, you are done for. If you are willing to hit me, then go ahead and hit me. Donghuang Baiji said as she casually found a seat and sat down. Yi Hua laughed. Seems like I have doted on her too much recently, to the point where it has become a problem. Yi Hua walked to the side of Donghuang Baiji and sat down. Yi Hua called out to Donghuang Baiji and Donghuang Baiji, and of course, Yi Hua also drank some wine. I wonder what kind of place this Ding province is, and where is that Donghuang clan? Yi Hua said faintly. Donghuang Baiji was pouring wine by the side. Donghuang Baiji was very obedient. When it was time to be mischievous, she would be mischievous, and when it was time to be sensible, she would be sensible. Should we find someone to ask? Donghuang Baiji suggested. Then it would be meaningless. It's like buying a cheat code in a game. It's fun at first, but it becomes meaningless later on. Donghuang Baiji shook her head. If that's the case, then that's not right. You're the only reasonable one. You have the most crooked reasoning. Donghuang Baiji laughed lightly. Yi Hua laughed bitterly. They are talking about the things that happened back then again. Suddenly, the hall turned dark. Yi Hua felt that this was a type of spell, and not true darkness. Interesting, using magic to replace technology. A ray of light shone onto the stage in the center, and a woman who was wearing a white veil could be seen sitting leisurely on the stage. The woman was hugging onto a pipa. Following the appearance of the woman, the men in the hall started shouting. Yi Hua sized up the woman. Although he couldn't see her face clearly, he could feel from that arrogant body that the woman had, that woman's face was definitely not ordinary. What, have you taken a fancy to someone else? Donghuang Baiji said in jealousy. The number of women that Yi Hua sized up was quite few, and yet, right now, the woman was actually sizing up someone else right in front of me. Yi Hua said indifferently, I have indeed taken a fancy to someone else. Tisk, Donghuang Baiji was speechless. He's teasing me again. Beautiful sounds started ringing out, and everyone in the hall seemed to be immersed in the music. Yihua couldn't help but sigh, this woman's craftsmanship is pretty good. The more Donghuang Baiji looked at the woman, the worse she felt. This scoundrel couldn't have really taken a fancy to someone else, right? Your eyeballs are going to pop out. Donghuang Baiji couldn't help but remind Yihua. Your wife is walking at the side, can't you give me some face? Yihua ignored her, causing Donghuang Baiji to feel very jealous. After the song ended, the woman stood up and slightly bowed her body, expressing her gratitude. The men below seemed to have gone mad, and the screams were rather intense. There were even people above who were shouting. From the looks of it, this woman's background isn't ordinary. Wan Wan. Wan Wan. Wan Wan. The woman called Wan Wan nodded her head, but she didn't leave in a hurry. On the other hand, the woman called Wan Wan walked onto the stage. Sirs, today is our Wan Wan's wedding day. I wonder which lucky man will be able to obtain our Wan Wan's favor. No wonder there are so many people here today, so it turns out that they are all here to try their luck. Today's wedding day is a day to choose a man, and whoever is chosen will be chosen. This is simply like hitting the jackpot 5 million. The men below the stage all went mad. Wan Wan, my family is rich, I guarantee that you won't have to worry about food and drinks in the future. Wan Wan, follow me, my father is the head of the guards. Wan Wan, my father is a minister. All kinds of people instantly started competing with each other, and it seemed as if they were pimping for their father. However, this kind of thing, it was up to Wan Wan herself to decide. Right at this moment, Yihua asked curiously, Baiji, do you think that she will choose me? Even if she chooses you, I won't accept her. Why? Isn't this a free gift? Yihua teased. If you dare to accept her, I will. I will. Donghuang Baiji bit onto her lips, looking like she was going to cry. Why aren't you coaxing her? What are you going to do? I won't talk to you anymore. Haha. Yihua laughed at Donghuang Baiji. After holding back for so long, she actually said such a sentence. She is still the same as before, I don't even know what she is going to threaten me with. Yihua turned his head and looked towards Wan Wan, very curious about who she will choose. Wan Wan looked at her surroundings, appearing to be very shy. However, she still appeared to be very serious. The woman who was at the side said softly, Wan Wan, you mustn't choose those young masters, they will be very miserable in the future. Wan Wan understands. Suddenly, Wan Wan saw a man at the corner of the stage. The man had a head full of long hair, wore a black robe, and looked very cold. There was a woman sitting beside the man, and the woman was very, very beautiful. Among so many people, only this man was able to enter her eyes. I have a candidate in mind. Wan Wan said softly. Everyone present cried out in surprise. She has a candidate in mind so quickly? Just who is it? Wan Wan lowered her head shyly, just like a little girl who had just met her lover for the first time. Everyone was very nervous, hoping that this good fortune would descend upon them, that way they would feel very comfortable. However, a white light flashed past. The white light shone onto Yihua's body. End of this chapter. Chapter 12:18. Donghuang Baiji was stunned. How is this possible? This damnable appearance of Yihua, he really can't hide it even if he wants to, and he's giving me trouble everywhere. How could a beauty chase after him just by sitting here and drinking? Bastard, he must have done it on purpose. He just wanted to sit here and wait for a romantic encounter. Yihua revealed a light smile and raised his cup to indicate that he didn't have any intention of objecting. This caused Donghuang Baiji to become even angrier. Yihua, this bastard. To actually propose a toast to me, he is simply a pervert. He didn't even reject a beauty throwing herself at him. What a bastard. Everyone's gaze looked towards Yihua, and they discovered that Yihua was a handsome guy. I can't take it anymore. Why is Wan Wan stroking him so lightly? What's so good about such a good-looking guy? This was a pretty boy. Looking at the woman next to him, it was obvious that she had already taken care of him. Abba Sang realized it was that man again. He didn't say anything and said with a smile, "Sir, you're very lucky to have been chosen by our Wan Wan. You have to treat our Wan Wan well in the future." There was a hidden meaning in the old man's words, especially when he said to love her. He was speechless. It was very ambiguous. Yi Hua. Just what are you trying to do? Dong Huang Baiji said gravely. Baiji, calm down. This Wan Wan is a local after all. We can interrogate her properly, right? Do you really think I'm so hungry that I can't be choosy? Yi Hua said faintly. We have been husband and wife for so many years, do you still not know my personality? If it's a woman, then I will go on you. In that case, my harem should already be in the 5 digits. I think you are. Is Daji beautiful or not? Didn't I not touch her at all? Seriously, you don't trust me at all. Yi Hua lectured. Can't you at least have some trust in me? Dong Huang Baiji pursed her lips and did not say anything. When it came to Daji, Yi Hua was still very well behaved and did not touch her. But who knew, on that day, Daji's bestial nature suddenly burst out, and she couldn't wait to be bullied by Yi Hua. Seeing that Wan Wan went down to change her clothes, Dong Huang Baiji said, "Let's go." Baiji, aren't you messing around? If we leave, the other girls will lose face. I don't have any face. This jealousy of yours is making me dizzy. Yi Hua smiled bitterly as he shook his head. This empress is really, are you leaving or not? If not, I'm leaving. Yi Hua had no choice but to hug Wan Wan. After that, he waited for Wan Wan. Dong Huang Baiji struggled with all her might, but Yi Hua couldn't care less. Let me go. Baiji, don't force me to spank you. You. Shameless. Did you just get to know me today? Yi Hua said with a smile. Seeing that the empress was angry, it felt rather good. Not long after, Wan Wan changed into a plain robe and walked over leisurely, making everyone present jealous. Was it fine as long as they were good-looking? Sure enough, this was a society that valued appearances. At this time, Wan Wan was still wearing a veil and walked over accompanied by Obasan. Yi Hua let go of Dong Huang Baiji. Dong Huang Baiji, who was standing at the side, was feeling very jealous. Dong Huang Baiji decided to ignore Yi Hua for the entire day. He had just arrived, yet he had already attracted a peach blossom. Young master, you're so lucky. Wan Wan is our top girl here, Obasan said ambiguously. Wan Wan lowered her head and didn't say anything. She was very shy. Dong Huang Baiji snorted. As long as this woman acts like this, men will definitely be distracted. Humph. Scumbag Yi. Yi Hua looked at Wan Wan who was in front of him and revealed out a smile, I'm just lucky. Dong Huang Baiji actually saw Yi Hua smiling, and she was so frightened that she nearly exploded from anger. This fellow always has a stern face, and yet, he actually smiled at me. I, Dong Huang Baiji, cannot accept this. Then, young master, please take off Wan Wan's veil. Yi Hua laughed lightly, then lifted Wan Wan's veil with both of his hands. Dong Huang Baiji was having a hard time enduring. This is simply like lifting off a veil. To actually lift off someone else's veil in front of his wife. Yi Hua was a bit surprised. This Wan Wan's looks are indeed not bad. Although she can't be compared to the Empress, she is still a rare beauty. Young master. Wan Wan said in a low voice, looking incomparably bashful. Yi Hua patted onto Wan Wan's head, let's go. Alright, young master. Everyone looked at Yi Hua and Wan Wan leave, and they still hadn't come back to their senses. That frivolous action just now, it's as if he's treating a slave. This hateful poser. He deserves to die a horrible death. After walking out of the brothel, Yi Hua saw a different city. This city was actually quite similar to Wushu Empire, the only difference was the tall buildings. These tall buildings that were built using wood really had a different style to them. For example, the brothel behind Yihua could be considered as one of the best. The streets were still normal, and the population was also quite large. The housing prices here are definitely not cheap, right? Yihua held on to Donghuang Baiji's hand. This jealous woman is very unhappy right now. Wan, this is your real name? Yihua asked curiously. Wan, who was walking beside Yihua, said in a low voice, "Young master, this is my real name." "Oh, what about me? I came from a small place, can you tell me about this Ding province?" "Of course, young master." Wan paused for a moment, then continued, "Young master, within the 9 provinces and 5 seas, Ding province is considered to be below average. Because the tectonic plate is like a huge cauldron, that's why it was named Ding province. And this Qingwu country is the biggest country in Ding province, and all of the sects in Qingwu country are under their jurisdiction." Yihua nodded his head. "So this is how the sects are governed by the state. Which province is the most powerful?" "Young master, the most powerful is Weihai," Wan said in a low voice. Yihua was very curious, why is the sea the most powerful? "Because there are some very powerful people living on top of Weihai, and their surname is Donghuang." Yihua held on to Donghuang Baiji's hand. "Look, didn't I find them? That Donghuang family is hiding on top of Weihai." Wan, how did you know all these?" Yihua asked curiously. Wan's face was red as she said in a low voice, "Young master, I only heard it from others, I don't know if it is true or not." Yihua nodded his head, "Let's go and find an inn first, the weather here is really not good, it's a bit hot." In the blue sky, there were 2 suns hanging on the sky. "What are you trying to do? You even brought people to get a room," Donghuang Baiji said angrily. "What's the matter with that?" Donghuang Baiji really wanted to just toss this matter aside and go home. "Furthermore, we are here for a vacation, am I going to anger my wife to death before even starting?" When Wan, who was at the side, heard that they were going to get a room, she became very shy. "Luckily, gold seems to be useful everywhere, and I successfully got a luxurious suite. Money really can do anything you want. Money is really a good thing. Wan, go and pour a cup of tea," Yihua shouted out. "All right, young master." Wan went out of the room to fetch water, and right at this moment, Donghuang Baiji asked in a low voice, "Yihua, just what are you trying to do?" "Nothing much, I just want to ask about the situation, you don't have to be so nervous, alright?" End of this chapter. Chapter 12-19. How can I not be nervous? Who knows what you are going to do? Donghuang Baiji said angrily. Looking at Wan entering the house, Donghuang Baiji remained calm. Wan poured 2 cups of tea and placed it on the table, then walked to Yihua's back and asked shyly, "Gongzi, do you need Wan to give you a massage?" "Of course, let's see how good Wan's cooking is." "Don't worry, young master. Wan's cooking is very good." Yihua smiled. While holding onto the teacup with his right hand, he didn't drink from it. Donghuang Baiji was so angry that she didn't even have the mood to drink tea. Wan, how old are you since you started working in that kind of place?" Yihua asked curiously. Wan was stunned and said with disappointment, "Does young master dislike Wan working in that kind of place?" "A little." Wan, you still haven't answered my question just now," Yihua said lightly. "Gongzi, when I was 8 years old, I was sold to a brothel." Yihua let out a deep sigh. "What a miserable story." "Baiji, what do you think?" "Humph." Donghuang Baiji snorted. "Young master, this is not a story." "That's right, if this is really a story, then it would be a bit too old-fashioned." Yihua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. Wan, why did you choose me?" Yihua asked again. Hearing that, Donghuang Baiji went into a daze for a moment, then became vigilant. "Young master, do you believe in fate? Of course I believe in fate. Then, it must definitely be fate that brought us together. Wan Wan smiled tenderly, and her slender fingers placed onto Yi Hua's body and lightly rubbed onto his body. This made Dong Huang Baiji very unhappy. Yi Hua smiled and said, Wan Wan, your relationship with that plump woman is very good, right? Yes, she is very nice to me. Wan Wan, after massaging for so long, you should be tired, come and drink some water. Yi Hua passed the teacup to Wan Wan. Wan Wan said respectfully, Young master, I'm not thirsty. Young master, please drink. How can that do? Be obedient, Wan Wan. Yi Hua said faintly. Young master, there's really no need, Wan Wan said in a low voice. Yi Hua could only place the teacup on the table and said helplessly, Wan Wan, you are in cahoots with that obesan, right? Young master? Wan Wan asked in confusion. Your trick is a little outdated. I brought a woman to a brothel, which is a taboo in a brothel. It's strange that the obesan didn't say anything. And you, of all people, you chose me. Although I am handsome, you are too arrogant. Do you see this woman? You actually chose me. Don't you feel ashamed? Or did that obesan tell you about it? Hearing that, Dong Huang Baiji went into a daze. What is going on? Yi Hua gave Dong Huang Baiji a look. Woman, it's just that your hair is long but your knowledge is short. You can't even see through such a trick. You just have to remember one thing, the heavens will not drop a pie, even if it is going to drop, it will not hit you. If it hits you, then you will die. Young master, what are you talking about? Even I am confused. Wan Wan's face was filled with confusion. Yi Hua picked up the teacup, drink it. Young master. I'll let you drink. Drink it. Yi Hua retracted his smile and said gravely. Wan Wan's expression gradually became grave, and she put down her hands from Yi Hua's shoulders. How did you discover me? Wan Wan asked coldly. Yi Hua blinked his eyes towards Dong Huang Baiji, then said with a smile, I was just speaking nonsense, I didn't expect that it would actually be true. Wan Wan, you tricked me. Wan Wan's palm turned into a dagger and pierced towards Yi Hua's head. However, when the dagger was just a centimeter away from Yi Hua's head, it stopped. Speak, who is the person behind this meticulous scheme of yours? Yi Hua asked gravely. Although it was just a guess, he was still curious as to who was the one behind this. I just arrived here, and I was already discovered by someone, and there is even an ambush waiting for me. It's just that this person is a bit stupid, to actually use a honey trap. Doesn't he know that the women around me are all extremely beautiful? Furthermore, I don't like women who don't have any personality at all. I am completely not interested in women who throw themselves into my arms. Yi Hua looked just like a skeleton. Wan Wan revealed out a malicious gaze, but she didn't say anything. Yi Hua stood up, then turned his head around and looked at Wan Wan, then lightly caressed her head. I think, you should know Wei Chang, right? I don't know him. Women usually speak in reverse, you should know him. Wan Wan, Dong Huang Baiji was very speechless. Yi Hua is truly a scoundrel. However, this Wan Wan is actually a spy, and furthermore, she is already lying in ambush in the brothel, waiting for Yi Hua to fall into her trap. Yi Hua said faintly, Wei Chang is a smart person, he definitely wouldn't use such a method to deal with me. It must be someone else, right? To think that using such a method would be enough, you really don't understand me. Yi Hua was also speaking nonsense. Who asked this woman to be stupid, to be able to use such a small method to deal with me? She is truly too naive. She is even more naive than me, who is an undead. Bullshit, Lord Ming is both brave and courageous, who does he think he is? Hearing that, Yi Hua went into a daze, and even Dong Huang Baiji went into a daze. Wei Chang is really here. Yi Hua laughed. Wan Wan, don't be angry, let's have a good chat. This Lord Ming is your superior, right? Furthermore, you seem to like him a lot. At this moment, Wan Wan's face really turned red. However, very quickly, she said with a straight face, no. Lord Ming is so outstanding, I and the others can only look up to Lord Ming's back view. Alright, this is just a little fangirl, the kind that has already been brainwashed. However, she is a little silly. Oh right, do you know Wei Chang? What ability does that man have to actually be fancied by the palace master, to actually be able to suppress Lord Ming? From what I see, the palace master's heart must be muddled. Yi Hua, this Wan is too awesome, to actually dare to insult the palace master behind his back. This palace master is truly pitiful, his heart is muddled. Seems like Wei Chang's position is very high right now, this is a bit troublesome. In actuality, Wei Chang and I are opponents, the reason why I came here this time is to find him. And then kill him. Can you help me find him? As long as I kill Wei Chang, your Lord Ming will return back to his original identity. Yi Hua said gravely. Wan didn't say anything, and after a while, she said, for Lord Ming, I am willing to do anything. Courageous, for Lord Ming to have a subordinate like you, he would be very honored. Of course. Wan said proudly. Dong Wang Baiji was a bit stupefied. Yi Hua only said a few sentences, and this Wan, my god, is she so gullible? This Wan must be a newbie, right? Wan, what is your sect called? Yi Hua asked curiously. Take a guess. Chapter 12:20. Yi Hua, Dong Huang Baiji, damn, this Wan. Is she really a normal person? Why did she have to be sent to carry out such a difficult mission? It is too dangerous. How would mere mortals like you know? Listen up. Indestructible Shrine. The most powerful existence in the entire 9 provinces and 5 seas, even if it is that big aristocrat, they are not our opponent. While speaking, Wan's face was filled with worship. Yi Hua shook his head. I originally thought that it would be difficult, but in the end, this indestructible shrine was sold out by a little girl. Sigh. When your boss dies, I will tell him that this girl is not bad. It sounds very powerful. Yi Hua said in a low voice. Of course. Where is your indestructible shrine? I won't tell you. Wan went into a daze for a moment, then hurriedly changed her words. Yi Hua's expression stiffened. You also don't know. Who says that I don't know? Wait till I complete this mission, I will know. Yi Hua, my god, it turns out that this girl still doesn't know. Yi Hua asked curiously, then, what is your mission this time? This is a very confidential mission, how can I tell you? Yi Hua laughed, since you have already said so much, it doesn't matter if you say more. Wan thought about it and agreed, I seem to have said a lot just now. My mission is actually very simple, it is to follow by your side and report to me at any time. Yi Hua nodded his head and removed the seal that was placed on Wan's body. You? Wan, how about we make a deal? Yi Hua smiled. Wan snorted, my immortal divine palace's people are not afraid of death, even if you put a knife on my neck. Even if you put a knife on my neck, I, Wan, will not cooperate with you. Clang. A sharp knife was placed on Wan's neck. Wan's gaze became deep. How do we cooperate? Yi Hua, Dong Huang Baiji, I have never seen such an unprofessional person, can't you at least resist a little? How about we cooperate, you continue to hide by my side and pretend that you don't know anything. Yi Hua said faintly. You want to kill Wei Chang? Yes, after killing Wei Chang, your Lord Ming is already relaxed, isn't it? Wan nodded and felt that there was nothing wrong with what he said. Sure. Wan said very earnestly. This caused both Yi Hua and Dong Huang Baiji to feel like laughing. Wan is truly a newbie. Right, your contact person should be that Obasan, right? Yi Hua asked faintly. Yes. Then shouldn't you report your safety now? Wan was confused. How do I tell them I'm safe? Yi Huadong and Huang Baiji were speechless. Just who taught you? In fact, Wan Wan didn't have anyone to teach her. Lord Ming thought that the more ordinary someone was, the more real they were. In the end, she was tricked. How are you going to report the mission? Someone will contact me when the time comes. I see. Yi Hua nodded his head. Wan Wan stood at the side gloomily, thinking that her mission had been discovered by the enemy. Looks like I didn't hide it well enough. Fortunately, I should be able to help Lord Ming this time and make up for my mistakes. Baiji, what are we going to do first? Yi Hua asked curiously. Up to you, you can go and do whatever you think is the easiest. Outside, Donghuang Baiji still listened to Yi Hua. Yi Hua nodded his head. Then, let's make a trip to the Wei Sea first and deal with the Eastern Emperor family first. What? You guys are going to the Wei Sea? Deal with the Eastern Emperor family. Wan Wan shouted out in surprise. This woman said that dealing with the Eastern Emperor family is the easiest, but this man actually said that he is going to deal with the Eastern Emperor family. Could it be that the Eastern Emperor family is the easiest in their hearts? They are definitely crazy. I am not going to be crazy along with them. They are simply going to throw their lives away. What's wrong? Can't I? Yi Hua asked faintly. Of course not. The Eastern Emperor family is very powerful. If you guys go and deal with the Eastern Emperor family, you guys will definitely die. I won't be accompanying you guys. Wan Wan wouldn't go to that kind of place even if she was beaten to death. That won't do, you have to lead the way for us. I won't go, I still have to serve Lord Ming. Wan Wan said solemnly, giving off an attitude of, if you guys want to go and seek death, I won't accompany you guys. Yi Hua smiled, think about it, if you help your Lord Ming get rid of the Eastern Emperor family, wouldn't Lord Ming value you a lot? At that time, he might even favor you a lot. This man's words are a bit reasonable. If I were to get rid of the Eastern Emperor family, Lord Ming would definitely let me stay by Lord Ming's side and serve him. Alright then. Isn't this answer a bit too fast? Yi Hua and Donghuang Baiji were very curious. Just what is this child's brain thinking? Alright, we are currently in Ding province, how are we going to get to the Wei Sea? Yi Hua asked curiously. In actuality, since we are already here, we only need to teleport to the Wei Sea. However, since I promised to go on a trip with Baiji, no matter what, I have to take a look around. That's right, I just remembered, in a few months' time, there will be a huge gathering at Tang Province's Tian Shan Mountain. At that time, heroes from all over will be gathering there, and the scene will be rather lively. Alright, Wan Wan still doesn't want to go and seek death, thus she can only drag it on. What you mean to say is that the Eastern Emperor family will be going there too? Of course, there is also the one who just became a god, deity Mengyao, who will be attending the gathering too. Speaking of deity Mengyao, Wan Wan's face was filled with adoration. Yi Hua felt that this should be a huge gathering. Thus, he asked curiously, Wan Wan, is this gathering going to be a fight or something? Are there any prizes, for example, rare items? I am not sure about that, but there should be. Then, how big is the scale of this gathering? Will all the people from the 9 provinces and 5 seas be attending? Yi Hua asked curiously. Of course, this gathering will be called Tian Shan Mountain Cauldron Seeking. Yi Hua understood. Right now, I know where the Eastern Emperor family is located. With Wan Wan around, I will be able to dig out that indestructible shrine at any time. What is left is Qing Su. That fellow loves lively scenes, especially when there are good things to be found. If this is really a big event, that fellow Qing Su will definitely be there. From the looks of it, I have to settle Qing Su first. After all, if I miss this village, I won't be able to find this shop anymore. If I want to find Qing Su in the future, it would be very difficult. Alright, let us go to Tang Province then. Tian Shan Mountain. Yi Hua decided. Donghuang Baiji more or less understood what Yi Hua meant. He should be going to look for Qing Su. After all, Qing Su is also in the 9 provinces and 5 seas. Whether or not he will be able to come will depend on his luck. Wan Wan let out a sigh of relief. Going to Tian Shan Mountain is at least better than going to Eastern Emperor family. Chapter 12:21. However, what Yihua didn't expect was that Qing Su was actually here, and furthermore, he was even currently in the brothel. However, Qing Su wasn't doing anything bad. Instead, he was talking to the obeson, who had a dumbfounded look on his face. Indestructible shrine. Ha. Just now, Qing Su felt that this obasang was a bit strange, and so he decided to ponder about it for a bit. As expected, there is a problem with this obasang. To actually be from Indestructible Shrine, what kind of person is he, to actually dare to take such an arrogant name? Qing Su's fat face was filled with disdain. Indestructible Shrine? Do you have any large-scale events here? Qing Su asked indifferently. Beside him was a dumbfounded Do Fusher. To Qing Su, floating battle was still too weak, and he was currently looking for things to make floating battle even stronger. However, the required materials could only be found here, and he had no idea where to start, so he could only ask around. If he wanted to find out more information, he would naturally have to look for large-scale events. There would be a lot of information there. Abasang said with a dumbfounded expression, "Yes, there is. Tian Shan Cauldron Contest will be held in Tangzhou. At that time, heroes from all walks of life will attend." When Qing Su heard this, he felt that it was interesting. Tian Shan Cauldron Aspirations. This name sounded quite domineering. He just didn't know if it would have what he was looking for. Qing Su waved his hand, and Obasan walked out in a daze. He stood there for a long time before he came back to his senses. However, he didn't know what he was doing. With doubts, Obasan put on a professional smile and entertained the customers. The Qingshu will smiled and said, "Little Daodu, let's go to Mount Heavenly Cauldron and gain some experience." Do Fusher nodded numbly. On the other side, Yihua was also preparing to head to Tang Province. However, this Tian Shan Mountain tripod competition still needed to wait for more than a month. This caused Yihua to be a bit vexed. Where am I supposed to go during this 1 month? He could only accompany the Empress to have a good stroll. Of course, there was also a burden, Wan, by his side. This caused the Empress to be slightly unhappy. After all, it was a world of the two of them, and the sudden addition of a third will was still very displeasing. Moreover, this Wan was simply a chatterbox. If you didn't talk to her, she could talk on her own for an entire day. Dongwang Baiji couldn't hold it in any longer. Yihua felt that this Wan was rather interesting. To be able to converse with me for an entire day, she is simply invincible. Right now, Yihua and the others had already arrived at Tang Province. However, what Yihua didn't expect was that this Tang Province was actually smaller than Ding Province. The capital city was not as grand as the Ding Province. It felt similar to the Kangluo continent. However, the air in the Tang Province was very fresh, and it contained rich spiritual qi. People said that if you wanted to cultivate, you should go to the Tang Province. If you wanted to live a luxurious life, you should go to the Ding Province. The air here is truly too good. Dongwang Baiji shouted out happily. While running, Dongwang Baiji really did not care about her image at all. Yihua sighed helplessly. Fortunately, there isn't anyone in the surroundings. If there was someone who saw the Empress's little daughter acting like this, I would have no choice but to silence them. Wan said proudly, "Of course, the Tang Province has produced the most exalted gods. Even exalted goddess Mengyao lives in the Tang Province." Speaking of Mengyao, Yihua and Dongwang Baiji immediately thought of Yi. He was also a well-known existence here. I really didn't expect this. Wan, why haven't we seen any towns after walking for so long? Yihua asked curiously. Young Master Yi, there aren't many towns in the Tang Province, there are only sects and so on. Because the Tang Province is a province that mainly focuses on cultivation, not many people are willing to waste their time there. Looking at the boundless grassland and the mountains on the horizon, Yihua's mood was pretty good. Humans, when it's appropriate, it's still better to come out for a vacation to relax and disperse the haze in one's heart. How far are we from the heavenly mountain? Yihua asked faintly. It's still quite a distance, I guess. In any case, we just have to walk towards those mountains. Wan only knew this much. Yihua nodded his head. I hope that I will be able to bump into Qing Su this time. That would be perfect. I have already formulated a complete set of rules for Qing Su, and I guarantee that I will let Qing Su know what it means to be a boss. Since I was able to deal with you in the past, I will be able to deal with you today as well. If not, how am I supposed to be your boss? And that way, Chang, I am really looking forward to it. It has already been a very long time since I exercised my muscles and bones. I hope that the two of you can give me some strength and not disappoint me. Just as Yihua was daydreaming and beating up his subordinates, a black figure suddenly descended from the sky and directly smashed onto the ground not far away from him. If I had walked a bit faster just now, that black figure would have directly smashed onto my head. This black figure is definitely a high-level scamming technique. Look, there are people coming. Along with the corpse falling onto the ground, another two people descended onto the ground. The two people looked at the corpse, then looked at Yihua, then shouted out gravely, "You killed someone." Yihua didn't expect that the two people were really scamming. Speaking of which, scamming is the same no matter where it is. Hand over the treasures that you have on you and the woman beside you, and we brothers can spare your life. Yihua stretched out his right hand and snapped his fingers while the two people were puzzled. Afterward, Yihua continued walking forward as if nothing had happened. Wan was very puzzled. These two people look quite formidable, why are they standing there stupidly? Then, Wan stretched out her hand and waved it in front of their eyes. There is no reaction at all. Wan hurriedly followed after Yihua. Yihua, who are those two people? Donghuang Baiji finally returned and asked curiously. They are scammers, I made them scammers forever. Yihua said faintly. This kind of person should teach him a good lesson. No matter what you do, don't try to blackmail me. Even if you take out two mountain-splitting axes and stand in front of me and shout that you are robbing me, I will still have to admire your courage. But, scammers, I will look down on you. Donghuang Baiji turned her head around and took a look, but did not say anything. Wan, does this kind of situation happen often? Yihua asked faintly. I'm not sure either, this is my first time coming to Tang City. This place sure isn't safe. Donghuang Baiji mumbled. Hearing that, Yihua laughed, just who is the one that isn't safe here? Donghuang Baiji went into a daze for a moment, then soon after, she laughed. The three people continued walking forward. A few hours later, a figure could be seen. The figure was big on the top and small on the bottom. If one were to observe carefully, one would find that there were actually two people carrying a person. These two people were naturally Qing Su and Dou Fusher. Looking at the three people in front of him, Qing Su was a bit puzzled. Put me down. Dou Fusher respectfully squatted down, and Qing Su walked forward to inspect the person. Qing Su's brows slightly wrinkled as he mumbled, this is an expert, this is definitely an expert. Dou Fusher did not say anything, he was just like a robot. On the other hand, Qing Su was very surprised, to be able to kill someone without using any techniques, I admire this. Dou Fusher remained silent. This person's strength is probably on par with mine. Qing Su was very arrogant and started bragging. Chapter 12:22. Right at this moment, 4 to 5 people descended from the sky and surrounded Qing Su and the others. Judging from their attire, they should be from the same group. Audacious, you actually dared to kill our people, do you want to die? The man in the lead shouted and pulled out the blades in his hands. Qing Su touched his head and said, what do you guys want to do? What do we want to do? You killed our people, and you still ask us what we want to do? Kill them. Kill. Qing Su shook his head. I actually took the blame. Little Dodo, I will leave this to you. Qing Su didn't want to pay attention to these people and directly walked forward. Audacious. You actually dare to look down on us. A sharp sword could be seen piercing towards Qing Su's throat, but right at this moment, a big hand grabbed onto the sword's blade. The thumb lightly pressed down. A crisp sound rang out. The sharp sword broke, and Qing Su continued walking forward as if nothing had happened. Do Fusher's gaze turned cold. He grabbed onto the broken sword's blade and directly stabbed it into the man's forehead, instantly killing a man. Qing Su put his hands together, appearing to be very sincere. A few screams sounded out behind him, and then everything became quiet. We are still too slow, what should we think of? Qing Su muttered. Do Fusher returned to Qing Su's back and didn't say anything. In the misty land of Tang Province, Meng Yao stood beside the window and looked into the distance while opening the handkerchief in her hand. The lollipop had already become very small, and Meng Yao couldn't help but hold it in her mouth and let out a sigh of relief. Meng Yao. Meng Yao kept the lollipop in her mouth and slowly turned around. Meng Li, what's the matter? Tian Shan Cauldron Ascension is about to begin, you should be prepared. Meng Li discovered that Meng Yao was very strange recently. Meng Yao would often stand here and stare blankly. Meng Yao sighed, I don't want to go anymore, you can go in my place. Meng Yao, Tian Shan Cauldron Ascension is a big matter of our Tang Province, and as the only god of Tang Province, you should go and show the prestige of our Tang Province. Meng Li softly persuaded. Prestige, everyone in the 9 provinces and 5 seas knows that I am the only female god, what prestige do I still need to show? Meng Yao, it's all in the past. Are you still thinking about it? It's not good for your cultivation, Meng Li said directly, not afraid of offending her. Meng Yao slowly closed her eyes. A person she didn't want to see appeared in front of her. The more she didn't want to see him, the clearer the figure became. It was like a nightmare. I know. Meng Yao said in a low voice. Meng Li advised, Meng Yao, if you go on like this, something bad will happen. You have to stabilize exalted deity's power now. Don't waste all your previous efforts. Don't make the same mistake again. Meng Yao nodded her head, expressing that she understood, but to really do it, it's so hard, really so hard. Right now, I am finally able to experience my master's situation. Love tribulations, it really is the most formidable tribulations, and only men who are heartless are able to get through it. Women, Meng Yao, the main reason why we're here is to congratulate you. You need to rest up. Alright, go get some rest, Meng Yao said in a low voice, then sat down on the straw mat. Meng Li left with a peace of mind. However, after Meng Li left, Meng Yao opened her eyes, took out a lollipop and put it in her mouth. He exhaled slightly. A month's time passed by very quickly. Yihua had already arrived at the foot of the legendary Heavenly Mountain. At the foot of the Heavenly Mountain, there was a surging river, and the entire mountain was just like a lone island that soared into the clouds. Yihua felt that, bad review. They don't even have a place to stay, and they are still here at Heavenly Mountain? They are just a bunch of people who have nothing better to do. Whatever sect, whatever family, all of them are bragging to the heavens. I am not here to listen to you guys bragging, I am here to look for Qing Su. At the foot of the mountain, there were various sects and clans that were setting up their tents and visiting each other. However, Yihua was currently looking for Qing Su's figure. After looking around for a while, he still couldn't find Qing Su. This made Yihua feel that Qing Su wasn't coming. Did you see that fatty Qing Su? Yihua asked faintly. Dong Wang Baiji was also helping to look for Qing Su, but she wasn't able to find him, and instead, she found a bunch of trouble. Behind Dong Wang Baiji were a few youngsters, and from a single look, one could tell that they were disciples from some big sect. Their expressions were very arrogant, as if their father was the supreme overlord, and they could do whatever they wanted. I didn't manage to find him. Dong Wang Baiji said helplessly. Who asked me to be so beautiful? I have brought trouble for Yihua again. At this moment, Wan Wan also returned, and similarly, there were a few youngsters following behind her. The corner of Yi Hua's mouth twitched slightly. I told you guys to look for Qing Su, but in the end, you guys came back with a tail. Don't you know that I hate dealing with this kind of thing? And I already hate this kind of way of acting cool. It's not cool at all. Young lady, I am a disciple of Jiang family, nice to meet you. One of the youngsters said with a smile. Young lady, I am a disciple of Eastern Imperial family, can I walk with you? Young lady, I am, as expected, they were all from prestigious families. Even their target, the Donghuang clan, had come. Donghuang Baiji and Wan didn't say anything and directly stood behind Yi Hua. Yi Hua suddenly felt like calling his subordinates over. I really don't want to make a move on these small fries, they are simply wasting my stamina. What are you guys doing? Suddenly, a voice rang out. Donghuang Qingru could be seen walking over slowly, and then, she was stunned. Yi Hua and Donghuang Baiji were also stunned. This is too much of a coincidence, right? The world is so big, and we actually met each other so quickly. Donghuang Qingru didn't know what to do. The floor manager told me to keep this a secret, and yet, these two people actually came over. I'm finished, Lord Qingru, this woman, shut up. Scram! Donghuang Qingru shouted out angrily. Everyone noticed Donghuang Qingru's strange behavior and felt very astonished. Could it be that this woman wants to monopolize this place? Donghuang Qingru, this isn't good, right? Do you want to monopolize this place? That's right, after chasing away the disciple, you want to monopolize this place? What a bad idea. Eastern Imperial family is only like this, that's all. Donghuang Qingru didn't know what to say. From what the floor manager said, this is the Eastern Imperial family scandal, how can I possibly let others know about it? Yi Hua crooked his finger towards Donghuang Baiji. Such a frivolous action, if it was in the past, Donghuang Qingru would have flipped out long ago. However, I don't dare to do that now, this man is very scary. Donghuang Qingru pretended to be very tsundere and walked in front of Yi Hua. Since we have already met, when this matter ends, let's go to your family together. Yi Hua said faintly. However, Wan who was at the side immediately said, I won't be going. He. Yi Hua expressed that it was impossible. Wan didn't understand. Do you think that the Eastern Imperial family is your backyard, that you can just go there whenever you want? Don't you know that it is very scary? Donghuang Qingru was already a bit frightened. If I were to bring them over, and if they were to investigate this matter, I would have to bear a huge responsibility. Chapter 12:23. If I don't bring him along, this man will definitely kill me. Since I'm going to die either way, I can only admit defeat. Who asked him to be so strong? I have no choice but to lower my head. Is there no boss coming? Yi Hua asked curiously and changed the topic. Donghuang Qingru nodded her head, yes, the main purpose of this Tianshan mountain competition is to congratulate Goddess Mengyao. Normally, family heads would only bring their regards. Just bring? Isn't this the same as looking down on that Goddess Mengyao? Yi Hua said faintly. The boss actually doesn't go out and let his underling bring him along. If this isn't looking down on her, then what is it? Donghuang Qingru didn't know how to explain it. This is just a matter of tradition. Would all the other gods have to come and congratulate a newly ascended god? Wouldn't that be very embarrassing? Furthermore, it's a woman. To be able to bring a gift is already a sign that they like her. At this moment, a colorful cloud flew over with a strong aura. Everyone couldn't help but look over, and their gazes were filled with respect. Could this be? The colorful cloud descended and a beautiful figure appeared. Everyone was stunned by the woman in front of them. They immediately cupped their hands and shouted, "Greetings to Goddess Mengyao." The person who came was naturally Mengyao. To be honest, she didn't want to come, but she had to. However, when she saw Yi Hua, she felt a little weird. When she saw Donghuang Baiji behind Yi Hua, she knew that it was her. It's the emperor, not him. Everyone, you have worked hard. The gate of Tian Shan Mountain has already opened, you can all go up now. Meng Yao said gently. Actually, this Tian Shan Mountain competition was a cultivation convention. Above Tian Shan Mountain, there was dense spiritual energy. Gods wouldn't care about spiritual energy, but these disciples valued it. Training here for 7 days was equivalent to training outside for 700 days. To them, 700 years wasn't much, but it would be hard for them to get through it. Now that there was a chance, they naturally wouldn't let it go. Beauties were just fleeting clouds, it was more important to increase one's strength. Even Dongwang Qingru fought hard to get this spot. I'll go up first. Dongwang Qingru said softly. Yihua waved his hand. He didn't expect this Tian Shan Mountain competition to be so boring. The only expert was Meng Yao. Even now, she was not sure if that bastard Qing Su would come. After everyone ascended the heavenly mountain, Yihua looked at Meng Yao and said faintly, "To think that I would be able to meet her here." "Yeah, what a coincidence," Meng Yao muttered. "You mistook me as Xiao Tian just now, right?" Yihua couldn't help but say. In actuality, it could be seen that Meng Yao was a bit disappointed just now. This little brother of his was actually able to make an exalted god worry about him. Not bad, he was quite capable. That's more like my younger brother, a man who can do great things. Wan Wan was dumbfounded. She never expected them to know each other. How was that possible? How did they know each other? It seemed like they were very familiar with each other. "No," Meng Yao said softly. Yihua let out a long sigh, and his tone was filled with regret. Donghuang Baiji immediately knew what Yihua was going to do. Meng Yao frowned slightly, not understanding what he meant. "Meng Yao, I'm afraid that you won't be able to see little Tian anymore in the future." Yihua appeared to be incomparably regretful, making it seem as if Yi Juetian had already died. At least, that was what Meng Yao thought, but she was too embarrassed to ask. Could it be that something happened to him? That shouldn't be possible, he has such a powerful big brother, no matter what, nothing should happen to him. Yihua didn't say anything else and stood with his hands behind his back. "Although you are a god, you are still a woman. I am very experienced, I don't believe that you won't ask. Let's see who can hold back." Donghuang Baiji poked Yihua. "You are about the same. Other people indeed want to know, but they are too embarrassed to ask." Wan Wan felt that it would be better for her to stay further away from Yihua, in case he killed her to silence her if she knew too much. After Wan Wan left, Meng Yao really asked Yihua. "What's wrong?" Yihua was secretly delighted. Seems like this god Meng Yao is still worried about Xiao Tian, this is truly not easy. However, speaking of which, I was the one who tried to tear them apart in the past, so this time, I will properly play the matchmaker. Whether or not they will be able to succeed, it all depends on whether or not they are fated to be together. 9 deaths and 1 lives. Yihua said faintly. As expected, after hearing Yihua say that 9 deaths and 1 lives, Meng Yao's brows tightly wrinkled, appearing to be very heavy. Her emotions were also very complicated. "What do you mean?" Meng Yao asked. Yihua shook his head. "Meng Yao, Xiao Tian knows that he is guilty, so he went to a very dangerous place. I tried to stop him again and again, but it was to no avail. It was as if he was sending himself to death. Perhaps, this is a kind of release. In the future, you will be able to be at ease. After all, this is just a calamity, don't take it to heart." Yihua said gravely. Although it seemed like he was tearing apart Meng Yao, in actuality, he was just playing the matchmaker. Donghuang Baiji felt very helpless. This Moon Elder has become a Moon Elder again. Meng Yao said gravely, "Indeed, this is just a calamity, I won't take it to heart." "What the F***ck, is this not a normal path? Shouldn't I be asking about it?" "Right, let me tell you a secret." Yihua couldn't help but say. He decided to scam his little brother. Donghuang Baiji was very curious. What is Yihua going to tell me? Meng Yao was very curious about this secret. Chapter 12:24. Yihua, do you think that Meng Yao will look for little Tian? Dong Huang Baiji asked curiously. Yihua shook his head. At the very least, it won't happen in a short period of time. Perhaps it won't happen in this lifetime. For something like fate, if it truly exists, it will definitely not be broken. You actually have such an epiphany? How fake. I still have my own views on the matters between a man and a woman. Yihua expressed that he was already an experienced person, and he was completely able to act arrogantly. Dong Huang Baiji clicked her tongue. You really know how to boast. Alright, you don't have to smoke anymore. These few days, you have been addicted to smoking. Dong Huang Baiji snatched away the cigarette from Yihua's hand, then threw it away. Yihua smiled. Let's go, we should also go up and listen to the discussion and broaden our horizons. Since he had to wait for Dong Huang Qingru, he decided to go up and listen. The mountain looked very tall, but there was still a teleportation formation at the bottom. It was really for lazy people. After passing through the teleportation formation, a huge compass appeared in front of them. The sky was black and dotted with stars. It was a very romantic scene. At the very least, Dong Huang Baiji felt that it was very romantic. This kind of starry sky was truly rarely seen. Even Wan Wan was captivated. She fantasized about sitting here with Lord Ming and staying together forever. How wonderful would that be? Everyone was sitting cross-legged around the compass. Meng Yao was sitting in the center, talking about the Great Tao. Yihua directly ignored it. This kind of thing is only useful to trick little kids. Can these people understand the Great Tao that you, a god, are talking about? That does not exist. Fortunately, now that everyone was gathered together, it would be easier to find them. After all, with Qing Su's size, if he was really here, he would definitely be able to see it. Yihua took a glance, and the corner of his mouth arced up as he walked towards the left side. Dong Huang Baiji hurriedly followed after Dong Huang Baiji. Wan Wan, who was at the side, had yet to come back to her senses and was currently engrossed in looking at the starry sky. Yihua did indeed see an enormous figure, in that iconic moment. It was truly hard for me to find it. Qing Su, I didn't expect that I understood you so well. I reckon that you are also cursing me in your heart, right? He was even caught by the Supreme Overlord. How tragic. Yihua directly sat cross-legged beside Qing Su. Dong Huang Baiji had never seen Qing Su before, but she had seen Do Fusher before. Do Fusher was also coiled up to the side. At this time, Qing Su's eyes were closed. He rotated the Buddhist beads in his hand and slowly said, Benefactor, you're really persistent. Qing Su, stop pretending. Yihua said faintly. Qing Su opened his eyes, but they were still aslit. One must know that all of the people present were all formidable existences, and any one of them would be an unparalleled existence in the god's realm. But just now, all of them were instantly killed by Qing Su. Most probably, they wouldn't even know how they died. Following the collapse of those people, everyone stood up and looked at the scene with a heavy gaze, not knowing what had happened. At this moment, Meng Yao opened her eyes and looked at Yihua with her eyebrows tightly knitted. In the history of Heaven Mountain Ascension Tournament, there had never been a case where someone died. After all, this was just a lecture. Yihua didn't care about the life and death of those people. After all, Qing Su was more important. Don't make a ruckus, you all go and listen to your lecture. We will do our own thing, we will mind our own business. If you disturb me again, the consequences will be the same as them. Qing Su said coldly. He directly laid his cards on the table. You trash are annoying me, you all are just like flies buzzing around my ears. Meng Yao looked at Yihua, seemingly asking, is this person your friend? Yihua gave a look that said, you don't have to care about this fellow. You can't care about this fellow either. I have to use my strength to deal with him. Dong Huang Baiji didn't expect Qing Su to be so abnormal. Everyone shut up. Qing Su's aura is very strong, we can't act rashly now, let's wait and see what happens first. After all, Goddess Mengyao hasn't even made a move yet. Since someone from Heaven Mountain Ascension Tournament died, you, as Goddess Mengyao, should take care of this matter too, right? However, just as Mengyao wanted to take care of this matter, she was stopped by Yi Hua. Benefactor, you should send someone else, the woman behind you is not good enough. Qing Su added. Seems like he knew that Donghuang Baiji's strength was definitely stronger than Dou Fusher's. Yi Hua said faintly, don't worry, I will send the weakest person to fight. I am looking forward to it. What Qing Su said wasn't a lie. Right now, everyone was listening to the conversation between Yi Hua and Qing Su, they weren't listening to anything else. Chapter 12:25. Meng Yao was the same. Just what were they doing? Donghuang Qingru was also very puzzled. Are they going to send the weakest one? Why did they fight? Yi Hua shouted, Donghuang Qingru. Donghuang, who was sitting cross-legged not far away, responded softly. Everyone looked at Donghuang Qingru, as if they were saying, so you are the weakest existence that he mentioned. Donghuang Qingru was very puzzled. How did I become the weakest? In actuality, Yi Hua didn't know anyone else and only knew this one person. Donghuang asked weakly, what's the matter? Stand up. Donghuang Qingru felt very sullen. Do I have to stand up just because you asked me to? I, Donghuang Qingru, am going to stand up. Bite me. Don't think that you can order people around just because you are strong. He is indeed quite weak. Have you thought it through? Qing Su chuckled. Although he was smiling, the fat on his face made it impossible to tell that he was smiling. Donghuang Qingru felt very hurt. That's enough from the two of you. What do you mean by weak? Even I almost believe you. The people who were sitting around felt that Donghuang Qingru was indeed weak. It seemed to be the case. Come over. Yi Hua shouted out once again. Donghuang Qingru clenched her fist tightly. I will remember today's humiliation. One day, I, Donghuang Qingru, will be able to pat my chest and say, if you have the guts, you can humiliate me one more time. But today, you can humiliate me as you wish. I, Donghuang Qingru, will not even blink. I swear. Donghuang Qingru obediently walked to the side and looked at Dou Fusher. She felt that this person was very evil, especially his eyes. Could it be that his opponent was him? Alright, he was indeed a little weak. Should he change to someone stronger? At this moment, Yi Hua said faintly, we naturally have to be cautious in this competition. The reaction of a cultivator would naturally be extraordinary. Indeed, if a person's reaction speed is fast, he would naturally have an advantage. Qing Su nodded his head, agreeing with what Yi Hua said. Then, for the first round, how about we compete in reaction speed? Yi Hua said faintly. Sure, how do you want to compete? Yi Hua stretched out his hand, and two huge hammers could be seen appearing. The number 10 million was printed on it. Looking at the big black hammer and the string of zeros on it, it seems like, it is very heavy. Qing Su was a little confused. Donghuang Qingru picked up the hammer that was on the ground. Donghuang Qingru had thought that the hammer would be very heavy, but I never expected that it would be so light, it was like a feather. Dou Fusher also gripped his hammer, his eyes filled with doubt. Qing Su curiously asked, what does that mean? Yi Hua briefly explained the rules. When Donghuang Baiji, who was behind Yi Hua, heard this, she thought to herself, isn't this a little too formidable? You can even play like this? Wasn't it a little too careless? Donghuang Baiji wasn't the only one who felt this way. Everyone else felt the same way as well. Meng Yao didn't understand just what was going on. Donghuang Qingru had already understood the rules of the game. This was indeed a result of cultivation, and strength was also very important. This rule seems interesting. Let's begin then, Qing Su said softly, feeling that this was a new idea. Dou Fusher and Dongwang Qingru sat cross-legged on the ground with a hammer on their right and an iron pot in the middle. The two of them stared at each other deeply. Of course, Dongwang Qingru wouldn't allow herself to lose. Everyone here was from prestigious clans. If she lost, she would lose a lot of face. Therefore, he could only win. Yihua shouted out, "Dongwang Qingru, use a bit more strength and hammer him to death." If Dou Fusher was still conscious, he would definitely feel wronged. "Your Honor, you can't keep scamming me like this, right?" However, the current floating world Dou did not have such thoughts. He rubbed his hands together, his muscles tensed up as he stared at Dongwang Qingru. First of all, he couldn't lose when they stared at each other. Yihua shouted out, "Let's begin, whoever's hammer breaks first will lose." This is a battle of reaction and strength. Indeed, with their strength, it would be a piece of cake for them to smash this balloon hammer. However, he couldn't smash it, so he had to control his strength. In the eyes of Dou Fusher and Dongwang Qingru, it was as if they wanted to hammer the other party to death. They tried their best to control their strength so that the hammer would not explode. No one was in the mood to listen to the lecture anymore. Even Meng Yao was looking at the two of them. The atmosphere at the scene was a little tense and oppressive. Even the palms of the people sitting next to them were sweating. Dou Fusher and Dongwang Qingru took a deep breath. It was as if they were going to fight. The two of them shouted in a stern voice. "Sure too. Scissors. Sure too." Dongwang Qingru's two hands were revealed, and the change in Dongwang Qingru's expression could be clearly seen. From nervousness to surprise, and then to distorted. That expression of hers seemed to be saying, "Brat, you are playing. I am going to hammer you to death." Right now, a trace of a strange smile appeared on Yihua's face. Dou Fusher was very strong right now, and with Dongwang Qingru's current strength, it was impossible for her to win against Dou Fusher. Therefore, I have to add some extra strength to Dongwang Qingru's strength. This is not cheating, this is a symbol of strength. Dongwang Qingru didn't even know how fast she was. She picked up the hammer that was on her right hand and jumped up. Astral winds howled. That 10000000 hammer seemed to carry the aura of death as it smashed down towards Dou Fusher's forehead. Right now, Dou Fusher wanted to cover his forehead with a black wok. However, bang! Before Dou Fusher's hands could even touch his forehead, that black hammer smashed onto Dou Fusher's forehead, and an explosive sound could even be heard. Dou Fusher's forehead could be seen instantly becoming red and swollen. Dongwang Qingru felt that she was going to explode, and that distorted expression on her face was gradually replaced by a strange smile. Dou Fusher rubbed his forehead, his face tensed up. At this moment, Qing Su was frowning slightly. Although it was a frown, it was not visible at all. "You're really amazing. You actually managed to raise this weakling to the same level as you in an instant," Qing Su said faintly. Yihua said in a low voice, "Qing Su, don't forget that there are a lot of concepts that I taught you." Qing Su didn't say anything. His tiny eyes seemed to be filled with craftiness. The game continued. Dou Fusher, who had been struck by the hammer, had a serious expression on his face. Coupled with the red swelling on his forehead, he looked a little comical. "Sure too. Scissors. Paper." Dou Fusher was dumbfounded, and his hands immediately reached out to grab the pot. However, this time, Dongwang Qingru's speed was even faster. Dou Fusher still hadn't gotten the wok. Boom! A cyclone suddenly erupted, and everyone couldn't help but raise their hands to stop it. Dongwang Qingru had a crazed look on her face. She had controlled her attack very well just now. Her hammer did not break, but it had inflicted heavy damage on him. Take a look, his head was crooked. Dou Fusher clenched his fists tightly, his eyes filled with savagery. If I win, this person will die." At this moment, Yihua laughed lightly. "Qing Su, it seems like your plan isn't very good." The outcome of the battle has yet to be revealed. It isn't like whoever wins will win." Although Ching Su said that, he still felt that his face was being thrown away. End of this chapter. Chapter 12:26. This Do Fusher, do you even know how to play rock paper scissors? Why are you so weak? You let others win twice, and this time, your head is crooked. You may be shameless, but I am. Dong Huang Baiji had never seen such a game before. If it was an ordinary person, that person might have already turned into minced meat. Yet, Do Fusher's head was actually only tilted to one side. It seems like this subordinate of Yi Hua is truly very strong. Seeing Do Fusher being hammered so ruthlessly, the surrounding people all sucked in a breath of cold air. This was simply too savage. If it was him, that blow just now would have knocked his head off. Meng Yao felt like this wasn't a game at all. She was practically trying to beat her opponent to death. Dong Huang Qingru, who had won 2 rounds in a row, was very excited. This game is really good. When I return to my clan, I can let my disciples play this game. Especially at the moment when he won, he felt like hammering his opponent to death. It felt so good. Do Fusher slowly raised his head and stared at Dong Huang Qingru, the veins on his forehead bulging. However, the match continued. The two continued. Sure too. Scissors. Step. Everyone's mouth twitched. That purple-eyed man was too unlucky. Have you never won in rock paper scissors? He actually lost again. Right now, Dong Huang Qingru could skillfully control the strength of the hammer. She didn't break the hammer just now, and she could continue to increase the strength. Do Fusher stared at his scissors in disbelief. Why did this guy drop 3 rocks in a row? Was this person the devil? That's right, Dong Huang Qingru used 3 rocks, while Do of the World used 3 scissors. This wasn't just a battle of reaction speed and strength, it was also a battle of intelligence. Ching Su's complexion darkened. This idiot, can't you change a little? You actually used scissors 3 times, are you show air? Yi Hua shook his head. Even if Do Fusher had become stronger because of Ching Su, his foolish personality is still the same. Dong Huang Baiji shook her head. This Do Fusher is truly an idiot. Change. Dong Huang Qingru was very proud of herself. It was as if she had already won. She immediately picked up the hammer and smashed it down. This time, Do Fusher did not take the blame. Boom! Dong Huang Qingru's attack was very heavy. Do Fusher's head was smashed into the ground. Everyone felt the pain just by looking at it. Meng Yao felt that Dong Huang Qingru's strength had increased by a lot. It shouldn't have been like this in the beginning. How did it suddenly increase by so much? Right at this moment, Yi Hua said to Dong Huang Baiji, who was behind him, "How about we go back home and have some fun as well?" Sure. It's settled then. With a strange smile on his face, Yi Hua said, "It's settled then." Dong Huang Baiji didn't expect that Yi Hua would be the kind of person who doesn't even recognize his own family when he starts beating you up. He completely doesn't see you as his wife. Do Fusher pulled his face out of the ground. There was an obvious face print on the ground, and there was even a little bit of blood. Because Do Fusher's nose was bleeding, it was a waste. His hairstyle was also messed up. His jet cut had been hammered into a pot cut. Looking at Dong Huang Qingru, she waved the hammer in her hand as if she was extremely confident. His expression was indeed asking for a beating. At this moment, Yi Hua said faintly, "Keep a low profile." "All right." Dong Huang Qingru shouted loudly. She slowly sat down and placed the hammer at the side. He didn't expect the feeling of beating someone up to be so satisfying. It was simply a sublimation of the soul. Why didn't he realize this before? Right now, Ching Su felt a bit uncomfortable and shouted out, "Win a round for me." Hearing that, Do Fusher's expression became grave. However, he still nodded his head. The competition continued. Stone. Scissors. Cloth. Swish. 2 hands appeared. Everyone was astonished. They didn't expect that Dou Fusher was actually a pair of scissors. However, Donghuang Qingru became a piece of cloth. Donghuang Qingru hurriedly picked up the black pot in front of her and placed it on her head with a complacent look on her face. Is your speed faster than mine? However, very quickly, everyone discovered that something was different. Dou Fusher's speed wasn't very fast, but his entire body had become malevolent. His expression seemed to be both smiling and crying at the same time. When Donghuang Qingru saw Dou Fusher's expression, she was a bit stupefied. Right now, Dou Fusher's aura gradually became stronger, and a gale formed around his body. Dou Fusher could be seen holding onto the hammer, and with a sinister look on his face, he said, "You are dead for sure." Boom! Intense killing intent was being emitted out from Dou Fusher's body, and Donghuang Qingru felt as if she could see a bloody mouth appearing behind Dou Fusher. That was a demon opening up the gates of hell. Ferocious killing intent engulfed the entire place. Dou Fusher raised his hammer high up, and his deathly gaze seemed to be telling Donghuang Qingru, "I am going to smash you into meat paste." The immense pressure caused Donghuang Qingru to feel that this fellow has gone mad. He would rather smash his hammer into pieces than kill me. This is breaking the rules. Right now, Qing Su had a smile on his face. In actuality, the rules of the game are, whoever lives will die. The one who lives will always be the winner. Yi Hua's expression remained the same, and he appeared to be very calm. However, Donghuang Baiji was different. Dou Fusher actually broke the rules. Yesterday morning, everyone in the surroundings also had a look of astonishment on their faces. If Donghuang Qingru was like this just now, the purple-eyed man would have been smashed into pieces countless times. He is still too young. Right now, Meng Yao didn't even know what to say. This is too childish, too careless. As Dou Fusher raised his hammer, Donghuang Qingru felt that she was done for. Boom, boom, boom. When the hammer landed, the entire heaven mountain seemed to be shaking, and cracks appeared on the enormous compass, seeming as if the compass was about to break apart. Meanwhile, Donghuang Qingru's position had already become a deep pit. The hammer in Dou Fusher's hand had already disappeared, and it was evident that it had been smashed into pieces. This is simply too terrifying. If Dou Fusher's head were to be smashed into pieces, he would definitely turn into meat paste. Donghuang Qingru floated in the air and held on to her chest. This scoundrel. He actually broke the rules just to kill me. At this moment, Yi Hua said faintly, "You lost." However, the rules were that whoever's hammer was the first to break would be the one to lose. In order to get rid of Donghuang Qingru, Dou Fusher didn't hesitate to use his hammer to exchange for Donghuang Qingru. However, it was a pity that Donghuang Qingru's speed seemed to be even faster than Dou Fusher's. With a smile on his face, Qing Su said, "No, no, no, your man ran away." "Oh. Then, what should we do now?" "Let's count it as a draw." Yi Hua nodded his head and didn't explain too much. Dou Fusher walked back slowly. Donghuang Qingru was feeling great, and thus, she sat at the side. Everyone became quiet again. What are these two perverts trying to do? Seems like we still have to step out. Qing Su said faintly. Yi Hua was never one to back down. Nodding his head, he said, "All right, it's our turn. However, let's not compete in strength. How about we compete in something else instead?" "Sure, I was the one who thought of the game just now, so you will be the one to compete in the next game." Yi Hua appeared to be very generous, and thus, he let Qing Su come out with the game. Qing Su didn't act courteous and said faintly, "How about we compete in poison?" Yi Hua went into a slight daze. Poison is Qing Su's forte. The so-called compete in poison was to make a poison each and have the other party swallow. End of this chapter. Chapter 12:27. Then, they would concoct the antidote. If anyone failed to concoct the antidote, they would die. This was also the most effective method of Qing Su. It was simply an inhumane game. Everyone still didn't understand what he meant by playing with poison. Could it be that he wanted to fight poison with poison? Meng Yao was also puzzled. How was she supposed to play with poison? Yi Hua and Qing Su stood up at the same time, then walked to the center of the square, and the two of them were separated by a distance of 30 meters. At this moment, Yi Hua said faintly, "Poison naturally has to be extracted from a poisonous object. However, if you want to extract poison from a non-poisonous object, it will naturally be difficult." Qing Su agreed with him. He said softly, "That's right. Even if it's not poisonous, it's still poisonous. How can the world distinguish between them?" The people sitting around were confused. What did he mean? They didn't understand. Yi Hua expressed that he didn't understand what Yi Hua said, but he had to pretend that he understood what Yi Hua said. "We'll use the same herbs to make the poison, and then use the same herbs to make the antidote. How about that?" Qing Su liked the suggestion very much. "Of course." Yi Hua nodded his head, then said to Meng Yao, "Prepare 10 types of the most common medicinal herbs for us, and all of them are non-poisonous." Meng Yao was looking forward to it. But before Meng Yao could do anything, someone went to pick the herbs. After all, there were herbs everywhere outside of Sky Mountain. Some were ordinary, some were precious. In the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, all 10 types of medicinal herbs were placed in front of Yi Hua and Qing Su. Yi Hua and Qing Su slightly frowned. After all, the clash between the medicinal herbs and the medicinal properties were very particular. Of course, Yi Hua had to be cautious. After all, the other party was Qing Su, an expert in using poison. If Qing Su were to faint after being poisoned by his subordinate, it would be a very shameful thing if this matter were to spread out. Right now, Qing Su was also very serious, because he knew how formidable Yi Hua was. All of the 10 medicinal herbs that Yi Hua gave to Qing Su were non-toxic. How was he going to refine poison like this? The people who went out to serve the dishes were also very cunning. They were not ordinary people, and they also had some understanding of medicinal herbs. He knew that there were some medicinal herbs that could not be refined into poison, so he made 10 of them that could not be refined at all. "I'd like to see how you're going to turn non-poisonous into poisonous. If it really works, then you guys are really good." Yi Hua and Qing Su were both a bit solemn. They felt that this wasn't a question that was given to the other party, but rather, it was a question that was given to the two of us. No, to Yi Hua and Qing Su, this kind of thing was a challenge, and they had never tried it before. Refining poison was a piece of cake for the two of them. First, he needed a cauldron. As a poison refiner, Qing Su naturally had his own cauldron. This was a different cauldron. With a bang, this strange cauldron fell beside Qing Su. This was a rectangular cauldron furnace. However, most cauldron furnaces were round. This shape was very rare. However, this one was meandering like a river. When Yi Hua saw the cauldron that Qing Su took out, he wasn't surprised at all. It was the same cauldron that Qing Su took out. Great Spring Cauldron. This was the cauldron that Qing Su had been using all along. Yi Hua didn't know where Qing Su got this cauldron from. In the past, Yi Hua wanted to ask Qing Su to change the cauldron, but Qing Su didn't want to change the cauldron, and said that he was used to using it. Yi Hua didn't force Qing Su to change the cauldron. In actuality, right now, Yi Hua felt that this furnace was just like a barbecue grill. By placing a bit of charcoal in the middle of the furnace, it would definitely be able to start a barbecue feast. The others were also a little confused about this barbecue rack. After all, it didn't look like a furnace at all. However, when Yi Hua took out the furnace, everyone was shocked. The moment this furnace was taken out, a delightful fragrance wafted out. Everyone who was sitting here had eaten quite a bit of medicine, and they were already used to the fragrance. However, when they smelled this fragrance, everyone revealed a comfortable expression, and even seemed to be intoxicated. It was as if they had returned to their mother's embrace. Meng Yao was also very shocked. This cauldron should be quite old. In the past, Yi Hua planned to give this cauldron to Qing Su, but Qing Su didn't want it, so he kept it. This cauldron was called Danxia. Its origin was unknown, and Yihua picked it up from the roadside. At that time, everyone was very shocked. Who would be able to throw such an amazing cauldron on the roadside? Isn't this person's ambition too big? However, the truth was that Yihua really picked it up from the roadside. Qing Su looked towards Danxia, and his gaze was a little strange. Why do I feel that this cauldron is very familiar, as if I have seen it somewhere before? Yihua noticed Qing Su's gaze. Of course you have seen it before. Even if I gave it to you, you wouldn't want it. With the appearance of the two cauldrons, it could be seen who was strong and who was weak. Yihua definitely had to appear strong, and he also had to look handsome and kind. Therefore, most of the people would support Yihua. That damned Baldy, he was so fierce just now. He really killed someone just because of a disagreement. I am going to curse you to lose. I am going to curse you to death. This cauldron is not bad. Qing Su said with a smile. Yihua smiled too. I will give it to you, do you want it? Chapter 12:28. With the combination of these medicinal ingredients, one of them will definitely be able to concoct a poison. Just which one will it be? Qing Su slightly looked towards Yihua, seemingly wanting to see which medicinal ingredient Yihua would choose. However, Yihua just happened to raise his head and look over, causing Qing Su to hurriedly lower his head. Everyone saw Yihua's expression. Seems like this fatty is not going to make it. When Dongwang Baiji saw Yihua's smile, she knew that he was bluffing. I reckon that Yihua is just randomly placing the medicinal ingredients to disturb Qing Su's judgment. The more Qing Su's mind is in a mess, the more he won't be able to concentrate. Seems like my wife knows my man the best. Yihua was indeed trying to scare Qing Su. Although Yihua was just bluffing, Yihua still had his own way of thinking. After all, how could I possibly lose to Yihua? He was especially serious about every single battle. If you didn't believe me, you could go and ask the Empress if she was serious about every single battle. Qing Su's gaze swept across the medicinal ingredients, pinching and smelling them, and finally, he started. Meanwhile, Yihua's side was already starting to heat up. When concocting medicine, what is important is the heat. When the heat is right, the medicine will naturally be good. Other than the heat, the flame is also an important factor. A ball of white flame could be seen emerging from Yihua's left hand, and a ball of black flame could be seen emerging from his right hand. The black and white flames were trembling like spirits. Everyone knew what this is. Even in the 9 provinces and 5 seas, deviant flames are rare. This man actually has 2 deviant flames. He is simply a nouveau riche. No wonder he is so strong. Qing Su looked at the deviant flame in Yihua's hand and slightly wrinkled his brows. As the deviant flame in Yihua's hand burned, the furnace actually showed a state of 1 black and 1 white. Such a situation caused everyone to exclaim in admiration. Can it be done like this? Meanwhile, Qing Su also started placing the medicinal ingredients. Everyone noticed that Qing Su's actions were very standard, while Yihua's actions were rather unpracticed. From this, it could be seen who is the master. Qing Su was also a man who had a deviant flame. In his hand was a ball of blue deviant flame. Following Qing Su's shout, the blue flame began burning the barbecue grill. At this moment, Yihua said faintly, "To be honest, if you bring some barbecue grill over, I think I will be able to get a few skewers." Donghuang Baiji shook her head. This Yihua, he only wants to eat all day long. He is currently in the middle of a competition, can't he be a bit more serious? If Yihua were to know of Donghuang Baiji's thoughts, he would definitely teach her a lesson. You really have long hair, but your knowledge is short. I, the Supreme Overlord, was obviously tricking him. Yihua's expression became grave as he said gravely, "This is a laxative." Of course, furthermore, this is a strong laxative. There is no antidote in these medicinal herbs, so. Qing Su had a look of "you understand" on his face, as if he had already seen that Yi Hua was going to poop on his pants. Yi Hua's stomach let out a grumble, and everyone heard it. I feel that I am going to take a dump soon. If I don't take a dump soon, I am going to poop on my pants. Yi Hua didn't expect that Qing Su would be so ruthless. He knew that I, the Supreme Overlord, care about my face the most. If I were to poop in front of so many people, I would truly lose all of my face. Furthermore, I indeed feel that I am going to poop soon. This bastard. Now, it's your turn to speak. Qing Su was very proud of himself. Go ahead and shit. If that's the case, I will be the winner of this competition. Yi Hua said gravely, since you are this vicious, then don't blame me for being heartless. This is not a laxative. This is Indian divine oil. Indian holy oil? Everyone was confused. Dongwang Baiji naturally knew what Indian divine oil was. This shameless fellow actually dared to say it out loud, and furthermore, could it be that Yi Hua had been using it all this time? It's very likely that I shouldn't say it out loud. This kind of thing shouldn't affect the man too much. I'll pretend that I don't know anything in the future. However, this caused the entire team to know that His Honor was using Indian divine oil. Do you know what is called black and white? You don't know? Then, I'll make it simpler. Do you understand yin and yang intercourse? This is the ability of my deviant fire. Along with Yi Hua's words, everyone was astonished. So he relied on the deviant flame to apply the poison. What a cunning man. It's actually an item that combines yin and yang, damn it. I wonder how the effect will be like. Everyone looked at the same spot where Qing Su was. But, Qing Su's stomach was too big, and it was completely impossible for them to see anything. The faces of all the women present became slightly red. I'm simply speechless. Qing Su was astonished. You actually gave me an aphrodisiac. End of this chapter. Chapter 12:29. Same here, let's see who can endure it, or who can lose face. Yi Hua was already holding it in. No, I still have to cheat. Qing Su is a man with professional ethics, he definitely wouldn't do such a thing. Yi Hua was naturally a man with principles, he naturally wouldn't cheat in such a situation. Do I look like a man who cheats? That doesn't exist. I will only use my strength to prove everything. Thus, I can hold it in. But what about you, Qing Su? Can you hold it in? This is the Indian divine oil that is made from two kinds of deviant flames. It is colorless and tasteless, the kind that you will want to eat even more after eating it. Right now, Qing Su was already sweating. After all, Qing Su only had the body of an ordinary person, how could he withstand the Indian divine oil? His face began to distort. At this moment, Qing Su turned his head and looked towards Dou Fusher. At this moment, Dou Fusher, who was already in a daze, trembled. Yi Hua sighed in his heart. Dou Fusher, you are really unlucky no matter where you go. Sigh. Right now, Yi Hua was also feeling a bit uncomfortable. This laxative is really quite powerful, especially with the addition of deviant flames. I feel like I'm going to jump out. Qing Su wasn't much better off. Just like Yi Hua, his face was already red. Both of them knew that there was no antidote, they could either release the laxative or die from holding it in. Looking at the two's red faces, everyone exclaimed in admiration in their hearts. They can even hold it in. You two are truly the strongest kings, I'm convinced. Expert, how about we stop here? Qing Su said in a low voice. He was already at the edge. Yi Hua had a calm look on his face, but he knew in his heart that he was already at the edge and was about to burst out. Even if I am going to die, I have to smile. Qing Su, how can we stop here? The victor hasn't even been decided yet. Yi Hua said with a smile, appearing to be very relaxed. Just that slightly red face of his seemed to have already been betrayed. Qing Su's face became distorted. Expert, how about we play something else? I know that you can't hold it in anymore. When the time comes, we will lose face together. F***k, I have already hidden it so deeply, but I was still discovered. Alright, then this sentence counts as a draw. Sure. Qing Su finally let out a breath. After finished speaking, Yihua disappeared. He must have definitely gone to squat in the toilet. Needless to say, when I squat in the toilet to relieve myself, that kind of pleasure is simply incomparable. Qing Su quickly took out the antidote and swallowed it. Only then did he feel much better. From this matter, it could be seen that Yihua and Qing Su were both upright and above-board people, so how could it be possible for them to cheat? Soon, the two of them returned to the scene with a relaxed expression. One was having a good time defecating, while the other was having a good time taking pills. In the end, Qing Su saw a skeleton standing in front of him, and there were 60+ overlords standing in front of him. Qing Su heard the skeleton saying faintly, "See you in the next life." After finished speaking, the skeleton rushed out. Looking at the corpses around him, Qing Su was confused. What is going on? Why do I feel so sad in my heart? Back then, why did Qing Su kill so many people? It was because everyone realized that they had fallen into a trap, and thus, they chose to fight to protect Qing Su. Qing Su was the only attacker, but after Yihua fell down, Qing Su, who had no one to protect him, died. Therefore, this was also the reason why Qing Su wanted to create a powerful servant. Subconsciously, Qing Su did so to protect himself. Qing Su watched as his body fell down, but he was powerless to do anything. He could even see those overlords cheering and celebrating their victory. In the end, the overlords placed the corpses together and burned them with deviant fire. They were burned just like that. Qing Su suddenly heard a voice ring out, and a skeleton walked over from the side. Isn't this that skeleton from just now? Why is he here? Did he die from waiting for so long? Right now, Qing Su didn't even know if he was in reality or if he was in a dream. I am with you, Yihua said faintly, then transformed back into his human form. Qing Su looked at Yihua blankly. Just who are you? Don't you have any idea who I am? These are all the memories in your mind, and you should be very clear about them. Yihua said gravely. Impossible. How can there be such things in my mind? It is definitely you. Qing Su, did you see that? Back then, everyone died in battle, and I have to bear a lot of responsibility. Yihua let out a long sigh. Although it is a pity, the heavens have opened their eyes and didn't let everyone leave. Qing Su didn't say anything and looked at those overlords. Those faces seemed very familiar to me. End of this chapter. Chapter 1230. Qing Su, you are the most special existence in the team, so don't disappoint everyone. Yihua stretched out his hand and patted on Qing Su's shoulder. Qing Su still found it a bit hard to believe all of this. He looked at the man in front of him. Is what he said true or false? Follow me and give it a try. When the time comes, we will know if what I said is true or false. Yihua said indifferently. He knew that it wouldn't be easy to deal with Qing Su, so he had to use another method. Qing Su looked at the scene. This familiar feeling won't lie. Seeing that Qing Su had tacitly agreed, Yihua finally let out a sigh of relief. Of course, he didn't expect that he would be able to deal with Qing Su just by having him recall what happened back then. After exiting the dreamland, Yihua and Qing Su opened their eyes. Everyone was curious. Who would win between the two? Qing Su didn't say anything and sat in the crowd. Yihua did the same and sat in the crowd. Everyone was a little confused. What was going on? Why didn't they say something? Who won and who lost in the end? To actually not announce it, this is too suspenseful. Even Dongwang Baiji couldn't help but ask softly, Yihua, just who won? Other than myself, do you think there is any other possibility? Yihua said softly. This Qing Su is a bit hard to deal with. Right now, I only need to dig out those precious fragments. Next up, I need even stronger evidence. If not, when this Qing Su goes crazy, I will have no choice but to deal with him. Yi Hua, what do you plan to do now? Dong Huang Baiji asked curiously. Yi Hua said softly, one step at a time. After this is over, I will go over to the Eastern Emperor clan and take a look at the situation. You are really going over? Dong Huang Baiji cried out in surprise. What, do you think that I am joking? I, the Supreme Overlord, have never joked around. Yi Hua said gravely. The words that I, the Supreme Overlord, have always been serious. Dong Huang Baiji said softly, Yi Hua, I understand your intention, but I really don't want to cause unnecessary trouble. I also don't want to look into what happened in the past. In actuality, Dong Huang Baiji was still worried that Yi Hua would cause the crowd to attack him again. I allow you to take back what you just said, then reorganize your words and say it one more time. Yi Hua said gravely. Yi Hua sure has a way of lecturing people. The surrounding students were all frightened to the point that they were trembling. I really don't know what to do. Dong Huang Baiji said helplessly. Yi Hua laughed lightly, if you have a way, this seat of mine will be yours. Who cares about your seat? I'm just worried that something will happen to you. Baiji, you think too highly of those people. It's just a matter of waving their hands. After that, I want your father to get justice. Or other elders. After hearing what Yi Hua said, Dong Huang Baiji felt very moved. Although I don't know the truth of the matter, it is truly great that Yi Hua has such thoughts. When the time comes, I'll have to think of a way to act cool. Yi Hua, you muttered. Originally, Dong Huang Baiji was still very touched by Yi Hua's words, but she was immediately pulled back to reality. Dong Huang Qingru, come here, I want to ask you a few questions. Great God, please ask. Dong Huang Qingru shouted out respectfully. However, I, Dong Huang Qingru, swear that if I admit defeat now, it will be a sacrifice for the future. A person can only grow while being ridiculed. If no one forces you, you wouldn't even know how strong your own ability is. Yi Hua asked lightly, is there any scandal in your Eastern Emperor family? How is that possible? Our Eastern Emperor family is the benchmark. Dong Huang Qingru said with a righteous look on her face. Dong Huang Qingru didn't dare to say it. There are so many people here, if she were to expose it, where would the face of the Eastern Emperor family be? Yi Hua asked faintly, Dong Huang Qingru, right now is a good opportunity for you to atone for your crimes, don't test my patience. About that, great God, it's not that I don't want to say it, I only found out about it recently. Dong Huang Qingru was also afraid. This man would beat someone up just because of a single sentence, and furthermore, he would beat someone to death. Oh. What is it? Actually, I don't know the exact details. The floor leader asked me to keep it a secret. He said that it's a big secret of the Eastern Royal Clan. Dong Huang Qingru said sneakily. Looking at her, one could tell that she was talking about a secret. Right now, even Dong Huang Baiji was curious as to what exactly had happened. Then let's go now. Yi Hua was already impatient to go and stir up some trouble. The main thing was that with Qing Su by his side, Qing Su might be able to evoke some of his bad memories. Dong Huang said softly, Great God, I can't do that. I have to wait until Mount Tianshan reaches the ascendant stage before I go back. Yi Hua went silent for a moment, then felt that it was fine. Then, let's play for another 7 days. This time, I, the Supreme Overlord, will be able to think about how to take revenge for the Empress. That scene must have been extremely comfortable. Sure, then I will wait for another 7 days. Yi Hua said faintly. The person sitting next to him was puzzled. What did he mean by waiting for 7 days? What was this man trying to do? Don't tell me you're itching all over if you don't do anything for a day? Dong Huang Qingru was very scared now. If she brought the great god back to her family, she would definitely be beaten up. But if he didn't bring her along, he would be beaten up right now. Moreover, this woman was of pure bloodline. However, the level leader had said that no information could be leaked. If not, the East royal family would become a laughing stock. Meng Yao didn't know what to say. She didn't have the mood to continue. Qing Su was also very hesitant. The scene played in his mind over and over again. Furthermore, it felt more and more familiar. His figure was about to overlap with that person's. Was he really one of them? This skeleton didn't lie to me? Qing Su didn't dare to come to a conclusion, so he decided to observe the situation first. 7 days passed by very quickly. Yi Hua brought along Donghuang Baiji and walked around Heavenly Mountain. It was one thing for Yi Hua to listen to the lectures, but after listening to the lectures, Yi Hua felt like sleeping. Looking at these people leaving one after another, Yi Hua's mood was pretty good. But Wan didn't feel very good. Mr. Yi, why don't you not go? Great God, this lady is right. Why don't we go another day? Donghuang Qingru said hurriedly. If he really went, it would be the rhythm of the world changing. Yi Hua's gaze turned cold, and the latter instantly became speechless. At this moment, Meng Yao leisurely walked over and asked in a low voice, "Are we really going to the East royal family?" Yi Hua looked at Meng Yao and revealed out a kind smile, "Yes." "Do you need help?" Meng Yao said lightly. This caused Yi Hua to go into a daze. However, he felt that this was a good thing. This meant that there was still hope for Yi Juetian and that he didn't die. When Donghuang Qingru heard what Yi Hua said, she was very stupefied. "You are God, Meng Yao, how can you just do whatever you want to do? Don't you have any sense of propriety at all? How can this do? This is too careless." End of this chapter. Chapter 1231. There's no need for that, I will be able to settle this matter myself. With a, "you understand," smile on his face, Yi Hua stretched out his hand and patted on Meng Yao's shoulder. Towards Yi Hua's smile, Meng Yao naturally understood. It was naturally Yi Juetian. Meng Yao didn't know what to say. She could only softly say, "Then be careful. The Donghuang clan is not to be trifled with." Donghuang Qingru wanted to add that exalted goddess Meng Yao was right, don't go and cause trouble. It wasn't just Donghuang Qingru, even Wan wanted to say that they really shouldn't go there. After all, there was a slim chance of survival. "Meng Yao, do you think I'm a pushover? You should know me very well." Yi Hua retracted his smile and said faintly. Meng Yao chuckled, "Then I'll be going back." Yi Hua nodded his head, and Meng Yao disappeared from the spot. However, Donghuang Qingru and Wan were very confused. Why did goddess Meng Yao seem to be so obedient? Just who was this man? The disciples of the Donghuang clan were all puzzled. All the disciples present knew that this man was going to cause trouble in their territory. According to the normal procedure, he should have tried his best to stop them, even to the extent of fighting to the death. Only then would he be able to display the demeanor of a great family. But, however, right now, I don't have that thought at all. I feel that they were on the same side. There was no need to fight at all. That's right, they were all on the same side. According to the head guard of the vestibule, that woman had an authentic bloodline. This was a huge matter that would shake the entire 9 prefectures and 5 seas. What are you waiting for? Let's go. It has been a very long time since I last did something, and today, I can finally do something. Thus, Yi Hua brought along his wife and subordinates and set off. Even though Qing Su still admitted to it, Lin Fan could feel that he was slowly changing, as though he had realized the truth. As for Battle Fusher, it's best that I don't turn back to normal right now. No, wait, this is the normal Battle Fusher, the previous one is the fake Battle Fusher. Donghuang Qingru was helpless. She opened the teleportation gate that led directly to the Eastern Emperor clan above the Azure Ocean. Right now, Donghuang Baiji was a bit nervous. I don't know how I should face this. If everything that I said is real. In that case, his hometown should be on the other side of the portal. Donghuang Baiji became rash. Yihua seemed to be able to sense Dong Huang Baiji's unusual movements, and he stretched out his hand and held on to Dong Huang Baiji's hand, giving her encouragement. With me by your side, even if the Heavenly King is here, he won't be able to touch a single hair on your head. The group of people stepped into the teleportation formation, and Yihua could only feel his vision turning dark. A beautiful scene appeared in front of Dong Huang Baiji. This place is truly beautiful. Even Qing Su was attracted by the scene in front of him. Everyone appeared on the first level, and the Eastern Emperor clan was on top of the rainbow clouds, ascending in a stair-like manner. Therefore, from this angle, it just so happened that one could see the Eastern Emperor clan level by level, and it was as gorgeous as a rainbow. Dong Huang Baiji felt that it was very romantic. If it was at night, it would definitely make people intoxicated. Indeed, in the Dong Huang clan, the night was the most enchanting. We await the head guard of the vestibule. The disciple who was guarding at the side shouted out respectfully. Although he noticed Yihua and the others, because Dong Huang Qingru was the one who brought them in, he didn't say anything. Dong Huang Qingru didn't know what to say. Didn't you want to create trouble? Hurry up and create trouble, I have already made up my mind. Even the disciple who was guarding at the side was thinking the same. It doesn't matter if I die sooner or later, I might as well watch how you guys create trouble in the Eastern Emperor clan. However, after waiting for a long time, Dong Huang Qingru still didn't see Yihua kill them. Yihua was also very confused. Doesn't it hurt when I'm kneeling? Why are you looking at me? Is there something wrong with you? Dong Huang Qingru seemed to be able to understand Yihua's gaze and said in a low voice, "This person is here to create trouble. Call your boss out." Yihua and Dong Huang Baiji were both stupefied. What is this Dong Huang Qingru trying to do? Why does she make it seem as if we are on the same side? You are someone from that side. Qing Su and Do Fusher stood at the back. The two of them were like autistic children, not saying anything and not caring about anything. Head guard of the vestibule, what do you mean by this? The disciple who was kneeling on the ground asked confusedly. Yihua said faintly, do you still not understand? Your head guard of the vestibule has already turned traitor. Dong Huang Qingru, creating something out of nothing. This is creating something out of nothing. My, Dong Huang Qingru's, heart can be seen by the sun and moon. I am also loyal and devoted to the Dong Huang family, how could I possibly turn traitor? No, it should be said that I, Dong Huang Qingru, only support the original. Mere pirated goods, go and die. Thus, I feel that Dong Huang Baiji is the original. If she isn't the original, then she must be a pirated one. I, Dong Huang Qingru, can only blame myself for making an error of judgment. Swish, swish, swish. All of the disciples in the surroundings drew out their swords. However, the disciples beside Yihua drew out their swords on reflex, a real hammer. Dong Huang Qingru felt a bit dizzy, and she really wanted to fall down. Head guard of the vestibule. You actually brought along your disciples to rebel. And you even dared to come back. What guts you have? Yihua said faintly, this person's guts are indeed big, you have to call your boss over, if not, you will be killed. Dong Huang Qingru's heart was in pain. Why did I have to meet this man? Ever since I met this man, I have never had a good life. I have been humiliated by him every single day. Although it wasn't physically, it was still mentally. The disciples in the surroundings felt that what Yihua said was right, and two of them hurriedly went to look for the floor leader. After all, if the head guard betrayed them, they still have to call for the floor leader, this is the rule. Yihua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. I feel that this is too fast, there isn't any foreshadowing at all, it will give people a kind of unpleasant feeling. This is a little troublesome. Not long later, Dong Huang Fei, who was the floor leader, arrived. Yihua looked at Dong Huang Fei, and Dong Huang Fei directly looked at Yihua with a grave gaze. This man is very dangerous. Dong Huang Qingru. What are you doing? Dong Huang Fei shouted out gravely. Dong Wang Qingru knew that she had no chance and said respectfully, "Floor leader, this person is looking for you." After finished speaking, she even blinked her eyes. Dong Wang Fei shouted out, "Dong Wang Qingru, why are you blinking your eyes at me?" Dong Wang Qingru, Yihua didn't pay attention to Dong Wang Fei and asked faintly, "Dong Wang Fei, right? Who are you?" Dong Wang Fei asked in a low voice. For the time being, he didn't explode, but he seemed to be very vigilant. Yihua pushed on to Dong Wang Baiji. "Wife, it is your turn to act." Dong Wang Baiji took a deep breath, then said gravely, "My name is Dong Wang Baiji." Dong Wang Fei finally knew. Why did Dong Wang Qingru blink her eyes just now? Could it be that this woman is the one? Something bad has happened. Something big is going to happen. This damned Dong Wang Qingru, why did you bring them here? We are going to die together. End of this chapter. Chapter 1232. Yihua saw the struggle within Dong Wang Fei's eyes, then said with a slight smile, "Dong Wang Fei, you don't have to be nervous. What about my wife? She has the purest bloodline of Dong Wang Fei, and the reason why I came over this time is to seek justice." A pure bloodline. These words exploded in the ears of all the disciples. How was this possible? Other than the patriarch, who else could have the purest bloodline? You guys don't seem to believe me. Baiji, show them what purity is. Wait! Dong Wang Fei shouted. Why did he have to stop them? If Dong Wang Baiji were to release her aura in this place, everyone would definitely know about it. He couldn't take the blame for this. His mind was in a mess now, and he had to think it through properly. Wan Wan was so scared that she was trembling. They actually caused trouble like this. It was too careless. Why do we have to wait? Yihua asked gravely. Why don't we talk in private? Dong Wang Fei did not want to blow up this matter, and he wanted to settle it himself. Initially, Yihua wanted to go straight to the heart of the matter, but he suddenly thought, it's good for me to chat with them. The most important thing is to know what exactly is going on. It was better to figure it out. Yihua nodded his head, and only then did Dong Wang Fei let out a breath of relief. Please. Dong Wang Fei appeared to be slightly more polite. Yihua was also the kind of person who wouldn't slap a smiling face. Thus, he brought along his wife and subordinates and walked over. Dong Wang Qingru was stunned. She couldn't help but shout, "Great God! What about me? Follow me." Yihua said faintly. This person is still somewhat useful, I will keep him by my side for the time being. Dong Wang Qingru exclaimed that she was lucky that she wasn't betrayed by the great god. Dong Wang Fei didn't say anything, and he immediately sealed off the inner layer. Dong Wang Fei sat at the center of the hall, and Yihua didn't care too much about it and sat at the side. Dong Wang Qingru, serve the tea. Yes. Everyone just sat there, and no one spoke. Dong Wang Fei sized up these people. Other than this man and woman, there were two other men and a woman. The woman seemed to be quite frightened. She was even trembling. As for the two men, one was fat and the other was skinny. They looked like they had lost their minds. Therefore, there were only these two people who had battle power. That woman seems to be very strong. As for this man, it felt dangerous, but it also felt like he was a gigolo. He must have gotten close to this woman to give him advice, in order to achieve his own dirty plan. What a vicious man. It seemed like he still had to start with this woman. Looking at her unwilling look, she was forced by this man. Dong Wang Baiji? Yes. Dong Wang Baiji nodded her head. Dong Wang Fei said with a steady tone, Miss Baiji, don't be afraid. Since you are here, no one will dare to do anything to you. Yihua and Dong Wang Baiji? This sentence should be reversed. It should be that we won't do anything to you, right? Looking at Yihua's shocked gaze, Dong Wang-fei sneered in his heart. Were you still able to control the situation in the past? Miss Baiji, if you have any difficulties, you can tell me. Yihua said gravely, what exactly are you talking about? I want to ask you. How could my wife have a pure bloodline? Call your family head out. Dong Wang-fei frowned and laughed, don't be impatient, I will naturally inform the clan master. However, I still need to ask a few questions. Of course, I'm not asking you. Yihua didn't say anything. Excuse me. Dong Wang-baiji asked. You are a member of the East Emperor family, why are you wandering outside? Dong Wang-fei asked confusedly. Without waiting for Dong Wang-baiji to say anything, Yihua said faintly, I will have to ask you all about this. Why was my wife framed? Dong Wang-fei wished that he could give Yihua a kick. However, he didn't have a clear understanding of Yihua's strength, so he didn't dare to act recklessly. Miss Baiji, what is your purpose for coming here this time? Dong Wang-fei asked lightly. Dong Wang-baiji said in a low voice, my main purpose for coming here this time is, before Dong Wang-baiji finished speaking, Yihua added. Acting cool. Dong Wang-baiji. Everyone, Dong Wang-fei's mind was filled with 10,000 curses. Can't we just have a pleasant conversation? You stinky man. What are you interrupting for? Do you believe that I won't interrupt you? Yihua said gravely, now, I will ask you a question. Dong Wang-fei waved his hand. I want to know. The biggest secret of your East Emperor family is related to my woman. Why was she controlled by someone? If it wasn't for me appearing and displaying a heroic feat, my woman would have been living in an abyss of suffering. Hearing Yihua's words, some people became stupefied. Wanwan felt that Dong Wang-baiji was so blessed to have a man who loved her so deeply. Meanwhile, Dong Wang-baiji wanted to curse out in her heart. Heroic feat, I was carelessly tricked by you for the first time, and you call that heroic feat? You are lying through your teeth. Dong Wang-fei wrinkled his brows. Being controlled by someone? I really don't know about that. After all, those are the secrets of the higher-ups. What? You aren't going to say it? Yihua asked coldly. I don't know either. Baiji, transform and show him. Dong Wang-fei hurriedly said, wait a minute, don't get agitated, let's talk things out. Go ahead and say it then. Dong Wang-baiji was very curious too. At this moment, Dong Wang-qingru came over with a cup of tea. After the tea was served, Dong Wang-qingru stood at the side and seemed like she was going to sit down. You go out and keep watch. Dong Wang-qingru went into a daze for a moment, then expressed that I also want to know this kind of gossip. Thus, she directly looked towards Yihua. Yihua ignored him. The latter felt helpless. This person was burning the bridge after crossing it. He wasn't even willing to share gossip. After Dong Wang-qingru left, Dong Wang-fei took a sip of tea. Do you really want to know? If you are truly pure, do you know how big of an impression this will have? Dong Wang-fei asked in a deep voice. Yihua was instantly in a bad mood, and said eerily, what does this have to do with me? If you've done something wrong, stand at attention. You are really unreasonable. Right now, the 9 states and 5 seas are all peaceful because of the checks and balances of the powerful clan heads. Once something happens, the checks and balances will be broken. When that time comes, the people will be plunged into misery and suffering. Are you going to turn the entire world into hell for your personal gain? Yihua and Dong Wang-baiji went into a daze. Is it that serious? Who are you kidding? Yihua snorted coldly, do you think that I will believe you just because you said that? The Eastern Royal Clan is the leader of all the clans. If there's any negative news, it would be a disgrace to the entire clan. It would also be a devastating blow to the Eastern Royal Clan. Don't tell me you want to take over a clan that has suffered a blow? After hearing that, Yihua asked gravely, tell me right now, what exactly is the matter that caused the Eastern Royal Clan to suffer such a disgrace? Sigh, why do you have to be so stubborn? Qing Su, open his mouth for me. Yi Hua couldn't take it anymore. This fellow is asking for a beating. End of this chapter. He was actually being threatened today. Moreover, I was threatened in my own territory. If it wasn't for that woman, I wouldn't have such a bad temper. This matter has to start from a very long time ago. At that time, I was still the head of the rear courtyard guards. Yi Hua couldn't help but say, you have already said this sentence just now. Yi Hua. Can you not interrupt others? Yi Hua, yeah, don't interrupt me and mess up my memory. Alright, continue speaking. Yi Hua said gravely. Yi Hua's mood was a bit bad. However, Dong Huang Fei continued speaking, this matter has to start from a very long time ago. At that time, I was still the head of the rear courtyard guards. In the entire Dong Huang family, there were two outstanding people. These two people were the legitimate descendants of the family, and the position of the family head would definitely be given to one of them. Hearing till here, Yi Hua understood that the plot of the story should be that the two people were fighting for the position of the family head, and then, one of them was framed. And that framed person should be on Dong Huang Baiji's side. Dong Huang Baiji seemed to be thinking the same thing as well. Qing Su, who had a dull look on his face, seemed to have started listening to the story as well. Even Dong Huang Qingru, who was standing outside, was eavesdropping on the story. These two people, one of them is called Dong Huang Shini, and the other one is the current family head, Dong Huang Jishang. Yi Hua looked towards Dong Huang Baiji, indicating that she should be related to that Dong Huang Shini. Perhaps, she might be his descendant, but as for how many generations, Yi Hua wasn't sure. Back then, when the two of them fought for the position of the family master, it caused a huge commotion. In the end, Dong Huang Jishang obtained the position of the family master, and Dong Huang Shen Yi went missing. That's all. After Dong Huang Fei finished speaking, he heaved a sigh of relief. That's all? Yi Hua asked in confusion. That's all. Dong Huang Fei said seriously. F***ck me. Qing Su, get him. All right. Qing Su also couldn't help but want to do it. He was simply whetting his appetite and didn't say a single word about the main point. Wait. Dong Huang Fei said hurriedly. This damned fatty looks just like an ordinary person, but I have a feeling that this fellow's gaze, no, I can't see his eyes at all, but I keep on feeling that this fellow is very evil. Speak. What exactly happened in between? Qing Su angrily asked. He hated it when people didn't finish their sentences. Dong Huang Fei tightly furrowed his brows. This fat brother, you really can't say this. This is a scandal, I will die if I say it out loud. You're not telling me. I'm going to die now. Qing Su was not afraid at all. Yi Hua nodded his head, indeed, if you don't tell me, you are going to die now. Dong Huang Fei felt that there were two gods sitting in front of him. Although the fatty looked just like an ordinary person, the imposing manner he gave off was simply even more ferocious than the family head. This imposing manner couldn't be faked. Without accumulating it for a long time, it was impossible to achieve it. That's right. Dong Huang Baiji added. Yi Hua rubbed onto Dong Huang Baiji's head. That's right. Dong Huang Fei was very helpless as he said in a low voice, don't tell anyone, I am the one who told you all about this, you all are using your lives to threaten me. Yi Hua has never seen such a cowardly person before. Aren't you known as the floor manager? Are you all this cowardly? First of all, I have to declare my position. Whether or not this matter is true or false, you all can only use it as a reference. Dong Huang Fei paused for a moment, then continued, I only heard that the current family head cuckolded Dong Huang Shini. Yi Hua, Dong Huang Baiji, Qing Su. This gossip is too fierce. Cuckolding someone, this is simply the most ferocious revenge. You all don't have to look at me like this, there is no evidence for this. Dong Huang Fei hurriedly added. Yihua asked curiously, are the two of them blood-related brothers? Dong Huang Fei nodded his head, that's right, the current family head is the younger brother. Awesome. The younger brother cuckolded the older brother, and the older brother disappeared in the end. Then, Dong Huang Baizhi, Yihua looked at Dong Huang Baizhi blankly. Could it be, Dong Huang Baizhi was also a bit stupefied right now? If this is really the case, then I am the descendant of the current family head. This, Dong Huang Baizhi was a bit unable to accept this. I want to be alone. After finished speaking, Dong Huang Baizhi walked out of the hall. End of this chapter. Qing Su asked immediately. Yihua glared at him fiercely. As a subordinate, you shouldn't talk too much. Qing Su pursed his lips and remained silent. What is it? Dong Huang Fei looked at the surroundings and said in a low voice, at that time, none of them had a wife or fiancé. Right now, Yihua was a bit confused. It was the same for Qing Su. Damn, is it asexual reproduction? With just a single sentence, this fellow had completely overturned all of Yihua's previous plans. Right now, Yihua was completely unable to understand what was going on. However, this aroused Yihua's desire to know the inside story even more. Where's the family head? I'll go and pout my lips. Qing Su said solemnly. He had to know the inside story. Yihua did not say anything. I indeed need to know the inside story, my woman. Which side were they on? Don't get too excited. Recently, the Eastern Emperor clan is organizing a youth competition. If you guys were to directly cause trouble, the consequences would be dire. Have you heard of the Immortal Shrine? Dong Huang Fei said solemnly. Yihua went into a daze, then looked towards Wan Wan. Wan Wan felt guilty. Qing Su also knew that this indestructible shrine was really that strong. Even the Dong Huang clan was afraid of him. I have heard of it, what about it? Yihua asked curiously. Dong Huang Fei said solemnly, this palace master has been suppressed by the patriarchs of several big clans, that's why he has been peaceful for thousands of years. Recently, this group of people has been acting strangely again, I'm afraid they are trying to cause trouble. So? Yihua asked. That's why we can't complicate the issue now. The hall master is afraid that if the ceiling formation disappears, it will bring about destruction. That's why he wants you guys to calm down and have a good chat. Misunderstandings can be resolved. There's no need to fight and kill each other. This palace master is so powerful? Yihua was a bit curious. Right now, I am lacking a strong opponent. That palace master is able to make Wei Cheng betray his faction. That palace master definitely has a very terrifying strength. I really want to have a look at him. That's not right. Wasn't it said that the hall master was sealing it? He is indeed very powerful, he has countless experts under him. Yihua asked, did you just say that the hall master is within the seal? That's right, all of the family patriarchs will work together to reinforce the seal every month, if not, the seal will be broken. The seal is filled with the aura of all of the family patriarchs. If something were to happen to the family patriarch, the consequences. I dare not imagine. Yihua took a look at Qing Su, and Qing Su gave Yihua a look of wanting to cause trouble. As expected of my subordinate, you never forget to cause trouble. I can let this evil out to play with, I want to let Wei Cheng see how trash the master that you chose is. When the time comes, you will kneel in front of me and repent, and I won't forgive you. What do you mean by the youngster assembly that you mentioned just now? Yihua asked. Oh, it means that the most outstanding disciple will be chosen from among the disciples to be groomed. Dong Huang Ji will be attending as well? Yihua asked curiously. Of course, the number one disciple will be groomed personally by the family patriarch. Yihua nodded his head, then looked at Dong Huang Baizhi's back view and asked, can you give me an identity? You are thinking? Dong Wang Fei seemed to be able to sense what Yi Hua wanted to do. I am just thinking. Dong Wang Fei pondered for a moment, then nodded his head. Forget it, in any case, I will be killed by you all. I will guarantee that you won't die. Yi Hua said faintly. If I want someone to die, that person will definitely die. But if I want someone to live, even if all 4 of his limbs are broken, that person will still be able to live. Really? Of course. Then, let me tell you another secret. F***ck. I suddenly don't want to protect him anymore, this is simply not trustworthy. What secret? Dong Wang Fei said in a low voice, the family patriarch has an uncle. The corner of Yi Hua and Qing Su's mouth twitched slightly. Could it be that this uncle cuckolded us brothers? F***ck. How can these people be so perverted? It's not what you all think. The family patriarch's uncle is called Dong Wang Ci. He is the one with the highest seniority in the entire Dong Wang family, and his strength is also the strongest. You all have to be careful, I feel that Dong Wang Ci is not a good person. Dong Wang Fei warned. Yi Hua felt that he had gained a lot from this trip. Now, it is time for me to display my strength. Let everyone fear the power of the deity. Tremble in fear. End of chapter. Chapter 1235. Is this Dong Wang Ji preparing to usurp the position of the family master? Yi Hua asked curiously. Dong Wang Fei shook his head. You are wrong, Dong Wang Ji loves the East Emperor a lot. He should be doting on the East Emperor. Yi Hua couldn't help but start imagining the scene of an old man doting on another old man. That scene is so unbearable, I don't want to see that scene. So this Dong Wang Ji is East Emperor Ji's backing? Yi Hua asked. Dong Wang Fei shook his head. You are wrong, on the contrary, the family master doesn't really care about his uncle. Oh? There is such a thing? Yi Hua was curious. This uncle dotes on his nephew, and the nephew doesn't care about his uncle. This is so weird. This big family is very messy. As subordinates, we can't be too gossipy, right? Yi Hua seemed to be able to understand. Those subordinates of mine aren't the 8 trigram supreme overlord, they will instantly know everything that happens. They even know that I am quarreling with my wife. How can you believe that? Can you arrange it? Yi Hua asked faintly. Yes, then can you all be my subordinates? After all, you all understand. Yi Hua nodded his head. I shall be the Empress's subordinate for the time being. I shall go and take a look at this youngsters' assembly, then I shall explore this Dong Huang family. Alright, I will go and arrange it then. You all can rest here tonight, I will bring you all to the Orange Building tomorrow morning. Yi Hua let out a breath, then stood up and walked towards Dong Huang Baiji. My Empress is a little. I don't even know what to say. This relationship is too complicated. Yi Hua didn't say anything, and he immediately hugged onto the Empress. What's wrong? Are you still imagining things? Yi Hua asked lightly, his tone was very gentle. Dong Huang Baiji seemed very heavy. Yi Hua, do you think that I am a product of power struggles? No, you are a product of me. Dong Huang Baiji, Yi Hua, is this how you comfort people? Dong Huang Baiji said angrily. Baiji, your starting point is wrong. You are an independent person, no matter where you come from. Look at Lai Gu and the others. Is their birth very glorious? That's obviously not the case, but it can't stop us from living a happy life, so what you're thinking now is unnecessary. Dong Huang Baiji felt that Yi Hua's words were somewhat reasonable, but she felt that it was a bit crooked. Then, if I was really an illegitimate daughter, would you despise me? Dong Huang Baiji turned around and looked towards Yi Hua, feeling extremely wronged. Yi Hua let out a light sigh. From the moment I tricked you onto my bed, I no longer despise you. Dong Huang Baiji, can't you just comfort me? Hateful, Dong Huang Baiji said petulantly. Let's just forget about it. It would already be good if I don't anger myself to death. He was so angry that he wanted to laugh. Look, you're smiling. Dong Wang Jishang was stunned, and then he said, I have no children in my life, so how can I have an illegitimate daughter? You are thinking too much. Then why are you so worried? This has something to do with my big brother. Jiang Wuyu became solemn, and he asked in a low voice, what does it have to do with your big brother? Back then, I fought with my big brother for the position of the clan leader. You should know about this, right? Yes, legend has it that you made your big brother a cuckold. Is this true? It seemed that no matter how strong one was, one's heart for gossip would always be there. Dong Wang Jishang looked at Jiang Wuyu from the corner of his eyes. You also know that it is a legend. Can you still believe it? Then what exactly happened? Why did your big brother go missing? Jiang Wuyu was already in suspense. This matter was one of the highest secrets of the 9 provinces and 5 seas. Dong Wang Jishang said indifferently, dead. I knew it. You must have killed him. Then you took his sister-in-law for yourself. You are a pervert. Can't we talk properly? I'm just joking, don't be so nervous, Jiang Wuyu said as he took a sip of wine. As for how he died, I can't tell you. This is an important matter that involves the clan, Dong Wang Jishang said solemnly. Jiang Wuyu could understand. Actually, your big brother, Dong Wang Shini, was a genius. Unfortunately, he was killed by you. The struggle for the position of clan leader is really terrifying. Jiang Wuyu sighed. It was the same for his side. The position of clan leader was a position that was stained with blood. End of this chapter. Chapter 1236. Dong Wang Jishang sighed, that's right. Big brother's wisdom and knowledge are better than mine, what a pity, Jiang Wuyu was startled. He seemed to have understood. Your big brother changed. Am I right? Jiang Wuyu asked. Dong Wang Jishang stopped talking. Jiang Wuyu said, seems like your big brother. He was absorbed by imperishable shrines people and then you guys killed him, am I right? Whatever you think, Dong Wang Jishang said indifferently. The more he explained, the more complicated it would be. Jiang Wuyu did not dwell on this question. What else could he do? But Jishang, the seal has been a bit strange recently. Seems like there is an expert helping you, Jiang Wuyu said solemnly. Dong Wang Jishang nodded, I called you here today to discuss something. Then why did you only call me? To be on good terms with you. The other two are very arrogant. Actually, I am also very arrogant, Jiang Wuyu added. Dong Wang Jishang smiled, if you were to be seen like this, your reputation would be lost. Reputation is fleeting to me. I have already thought it through. If not for this seal, I would not be bothered to be the family master. Act. Can you act more like it? Hee hee, you can see through me. Let's talk about proper business. How are we going to deal with this seal? Strengthen it? Jiang Wuyu said seriously. He was worried about the seal. We can only strengthen it. There is no other way. But we still need a backup plan. Once the seal is broken, we need a way to deal with it. Although I don't like those 2 old men, I think we still need to gather them and discuss how to deal with it. Dong Wang Jishang said. One person's strength was not enough. That palace master was very strong. This is the only way. Wait for me to deal with this matter. What is it? You will know tomorrow, Dong Wang Jishang said. Dong Wang Jishang obviously knew about Dong Wang Baiji's arrival. Everything that happened in the Dong Wang family had spies. How could Dong Wang Baiji's appearance be hidden? Still keeping me in suspense? Alright then, I'll stay and see what's going on. It's a little troublesome. I don't know where that uncle of mine found a servant recently. This person's qi is very heavy, and just looking at him makes me feel uncomfortable. Dong Wang Jishang was a little annoyed. Jiang Wuyu warned, I think that uncle of yours is quite dangerous. You have to be careful, or else he might kill you. I know, I will. Dong Wang Ji Shang said gravely. He did not have any good impression of his uncle at all. He even felt that his uncle was a smiling tiger. On the surface, he seemed to support him a lot, but in reality, she just wanted him to be a puppet, just like the time when she congratulated ascended goddess Meng Yao. She didn't even tell him anything and just sent an eccentric person to deliver the congratulatory gift. She didn't even put him in her eyes. However, given their seniority, he could not be too calculative about it. Otherwise, others might say that there was something wrong with him as the clan head. The two continued to sit on the top floor, drinking the fragrant wine, and not saying a word. However, Yi Hua was currently chatting with Qing Su. However, Yi Hua wasn't drinking any wine nor was he drinking any water. Yi Hua was currently smoking. Even Qing Su loved to smoke, and he was immediately led astray by Yi Hua. Did you gain any enlightenment during these few days? Yi Hua breathed out a mouthful of green smoke. The green smoke dispersed in the air, and it gave off a rather beautiful feeling. Qing Su's hand gesture of holding the cigarette was a little rusty, and it could be seen that he was a newbie. Even the way he looked when he was smoking was very awkward, and Yi Hua wanted to extinguish his cigarette. This is simply wasting my food. I have to ask Qingye to bring back a few boxes of food for me. However, I don't expect Qingye to bring back a box of food for me. Qing Su spread out the cigarette ash, and in the end, the ash even landed on his pants. I did gain some enlightenment. Qing Su said in a low voice. That was indeed the case. What did you gain? Gain, no brains. Yi Hua, are you saying that I have no brains? No, I'm not talking about you alone, I'm talking about everyone. Yi Hua almost choked on his own cigarette. This bastard. I'm getting a bit carried away. However, what Qing Su said makes sense. When you are around, everyone has no brains. That fellow Wei Chang betrayed us? Qing Su asked curiously. Along with Qing Su's question, Yi Hua became a bit happy. You know about Wei Chang? How can I not remember about that man-eating monster? Qing Su let out a breath. Seems like you have remembered about him. More or less. Then why aren't you bowing? What are you standing there for? Qing Su rolled his eyes. Do you have to be so quick? If I had known, would have said it. I didn't remember anything. What are you standing there for? Hurry up and move. You are so fat, you need to move to lose weight. Qing Su really wanted to throw out a handful of poison. Qing Su had no choice but to stand up, but he was pressed down by Yi Hua. Forget it, with your body size, if you were to bow, you would look like a meatball. The corner of Qing Su's mouth twitched slightly. Your Honor, don't mess around. Welcome back to this sovereign's team. Thank you, Your Honor. Yi Hua was finally gratified. At least, Qing Su, this fellow, is normal. Sigh, it is actually perfect now. Yi Hua let out a long sigh. Your Honor, this indestructible shrine seems to be a bit powerful. It is better for us to be more cautious. Qing Su warned. Yi Hua wrinkled his brows. To be able to make Wei Chang change sides, this indestructible shrine is indeed quite powerful. Furthermore, from what Dong Huang Fei said today, this indestructible shrine does have some capabilities. That's right, that's why Your Honor, being a bit more cautious is not a bad thing. Yi Hua said faintly. Qing Su, sometimes being cautious is a good thing, but if you are overly cautious, that would be fear. What Your Honor said is extremely true, but you also said the same thing in the past. Yi Hua, damn it, is this Qing Su here to expose my past? And he is even here to expose my dark history? Can you not mention the past? Yi Hua said gravely. You are asking for a beating. All right, Your Honor, that kind of thing in the past was indeed not very good, it was a bit embarrassing. If you continue talking about it, you are going to embarrass yourself. Your Honor, please forgive me. Yi Hua let out a breath. He was a bit angered. You should deal with Dou Fusher first. Look at you, treating someone else like a lab rat. Fortunately, that person didn't become a fool. Yi Hua said gravely. Qing Su went into a daze for a moment, then said, "That's not it, Your Honor. That person was very foolish in the past. I made him become smarter." All right. Yi Hua felt that Qing Su was right too. But no matter what, Dou Fusher still tastes better than before. Qing Su didn't say anything. He waved his hand, and Dou Fusher, who was standing at the side, could be seen gradually waking up, and his pair of purple eyes could be seen becoming normal. "It has been raining continuously, my house collapsed, I am sorry." End of chapter. Chapter 1237. Dou Fusher looked at his honor, then looked at Qing Su, who was at the side. Dou Fusher went into a daze for about half a second, and the expression on his face slowly turned from shock to grievance. Afterward, Yi Hua fiercely hugged onto Yi Hua's thigh. "Your Honor, this person, he humiliated me. I am so miserable." Yi Hua wrinkled his brows and looked towards Qing Su. "I am starting to regret my decision. Can I change back to how I was just now?" "It should be possible. It'll just take some time." Qing Su nodded and said seriously, "Your Honor, don't. I am your loyal subordinate." Dou Fusher was scared out of his wits. Actually, in the few days that he had been a puppet, he still had his own consciousness. Every day, he had to take pills and bathe in bugs. It was simply disgusting. "All right, be serious. Stand up," Yi Hua said faintly. "You are a big man, why are you crying? Your wife, soul separation, is the one who is a man. For you, she even went to train herself and almost died." Dou Fusher felt wronged and immediately stood behind Yi Hua with a vigilant look on his face. To this fatty, Yi Hua was just like a demon. "Your Honor, are we going to take action tomorrow?" Qing Su asked. "If nothing unexpected happens, we will be taking action soon." Yi Hua nodded his head. "Everything that the Donghuang family owes me, I have to pay them back." Of course, Qing Su wouldn't object. He loved big scenes, and it was especially comfortable to stir up trouble. "Rest early. There should be a good show tomorrow." "Yes." Yi Hua extinguished the cigarette, then walked into the room. Today, the Empress actually went to sleep early. She actually doesn't plan to serve me in bed? In the past few days, I have not even had the time to take revenge against those who have killed me. After taking off his clothes, Yi Hua squeezed into the blanket and hugged onto Donghuang Baiji's soft body. In his heart, Yi Hua was feeling very happy. An outstanding woman like Donghuang Baiji will only be hugged by me. "Don't mess around, I don't want to," Donghuang Baiji said in a low voice. Donghuang Baiji was not in the mood today. Of course, Yi Hua knew that Yi Hua was actually just going to hug her for a bit. In the end, the Empress thought that I was going to make a move on her. Do I, the Supreme Overlord, look like that kind of person? He had really underestimated the Supreme Overlord. "Baiji, the truth will be revealed tomorrow," Yi Hua said tenderly. "The truth is no longer important." "That's good. Is that okay?" Donghuang Baiji hammered Yi Hua's head unhappily. "All right, your head. I'm not in a good mood, unless you coax me." Sob, sob, sob. Donghuang Baiji. Following Yi Hua's whining, Donghuang Baiji couldn't help but laugh out loud. This bad fellow, when he starts acting cute, no one is able to stop him. "Yi Hua, don't learn from us and become a whining monster." Donghuang Baiji didn't know whether to laugh or cry. However, she was still very happy in her heart. After all, in order to make me happy, Yi Hua was willing to be a whining monster. Yi Hua also felt that it was very unnatural, but for the sake of their relationship, he still had to. "Is that okay now?" "You. I'm really convinced. Which man is like you? Be gentler, you're hurting me. I haven't touched you yet. Pain your head." Yi Hua flicked onto the Empress's forehead. The Empress pouted. "That. Baiji, this pouting is no longer suitable for you. This is the action of a little girl. You are already past that age. The Empress wore a dumbfounded expression. Yi Hua. Go make a bed on the floor. Sleep. Don't touch me. Looking at the Empress holding onto the blanket and rolling herself up, Yi Hua had a dumbfounded expression on his face. Is there something wrong with what I said just now? Baiji, what I said just now was to teach you to become a bit more mature, not to be so childish. Donghuang Baiji, look at our Ali, she likes to pout from time to time, but you can't, you are already old. Yi Hua. If it weren't for us, you would be a bachelor for the rest of your life. How is that possible? With just a wave of my hand, there would be a whole bunch of women. Then go and look for a whole bunch of women, don't look for me anymore. Donghuang Baiji was about to go crazy from anger. Too lousy, not interested. Yi Hua said solemnly. Donghuang Baiji was so depressed that the whites of her eyes floated out. This bastard, he actually dares to say such words in front of my own wife. If it was any other woman, they would have already started fighting with you. Seeing that the Empress didn't speak anymore, Yi Hua felt a bit bored. The night is long, and I am unable to fall asleep. I can only take action silently. Wife. Yi Hua called out lightly. What? I love you. Donghuang Baiji, not knowing why, when Donghuang Baiji heard Yi Hua say these 3 words, she felt like laughing. This fellow can anger you to death, and at the same time, he can also make you laugh to death. Don't think that just because you say a few nice words, I will let you play with me. Donghuang Baiji said angrily. Baiji, I can't fall asleep. Other than playing with you, I have no other entertainment. Scram. Donghuang Baiji felt that her blood pressure was a bit high. Sooner or later, she will be angered to the point that she will have a stroke. Yi Hua couldn't understand why she would be laughing a second ago, and then get angry the next second. I have never been like this before. Wife. Don't talk. So boring. Go and masturbate. Yi Hua became silent. Donghuang Baiji was a bit puzzled. This fellow is actually not talking? Could it be that he is angry? Don't think that just because you are angry, I will go and coax you. Wife, did you ever let pigs go when you were young? Yi Hua suddenly asked. Donghuang Baiji rolled her eyes and said unhappily, I didn't. Wife, you are so perverted, you didn't even let pigs go. Donghuang Baiji went into a daze for a moment, then flipped over and pressed onto Yi Hua. Yi Hua. You tricked me. Ha ha ha. Yi Hua let out a hearty laugh. Tricking my wife is quite interesting. You are still laughing, I am going to hammer you to death. Yi Hua grabbed onto the Empress's hands, then flipped over beautifully, pressed onto her, and kissed her passionately and caressed her. And then, everything happened naturally. I am an expert at picking up girls. Not willing? That doesn't exist. If you want to learn more from me, then all the big sisters will flock to you. The next morning, Yi Hua and Donghuang Baiji woke up early, and Yi Hua changed into his guard uniform. When a person becomes handsome, he will look good in anything he wears. Donghuang Baiji specially dressed up today, and her beauty was simply suffocatingly beautiful. Yi Hua felt proud just by looking at Donghuang Baiji. I even enjoyed myself last night. Donghuang Baiji looked at Yi Hua's expression. How can I not know what he is thinking? He is definitely thinking that I just had fun with this woman last night, how bold and unrestrained she is. From the looks of it, the Empress understands Yi Hua very well. After walking out of the door, Wan Wan walked over while wearing the maid uniform, and Qing Su and Dou Fushi were also wearing the guard uniform. Donghuang Fei and Donghuang Qingru walked over slowly. End of chapter. Chapter 1238. Miss Baiji, this is the command plate. You can directly head to the orange building with this command plate. I won't be accompanying you all up, I understand. Donghuang Fei squeezed out a smile. Of course, he wouldn't be leaving with Yi Hua and the others. What should I do if I get implicated? I will be in deep trouble. So. I understand. Dong Huang Baiji accepted the command medallion and thanked Yi Hua. Dong Huang Baiji appeared to be very polite. Yi Hua liked this aspect of the Empress very much, and the children were also taught very well. With the token in hand, the journey was smooth. Wan Wan, who was in the team, was already sweating profusely. These people are trying to stir up trouble. How dare they walk into someone else's territory? What if that floor leader betrays us? How can your hearts be so big? On the other hand, Yi Hua was hoping that Dong Huang Fei would go and inform on them, and after that, he and the others would be completely surrounded, and after that, he would be able to start acting cool. Let the people of the Dong Huang clan know that this sovereign's woman is not someone they can afford to offend. Stop them. Right when Yi Hua finished thinking, an angry shout rang out from behind him, and then, a group of people surrounded him. There were at least 10,000 people gathered above him, and there were also several thousand people surrounding him. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. Yi Hua was a little stupefied. I was just thinking about it blindly just now, and it actually succeeded? Then, all of you are forcing me to act pretentiously. What should I say? Right now, as long as His Honor says a word, all the people around Qing Su would be killed in an instant. It can be said that they wouldn't even know how they died. Baiji, what do you want to do? Yi Hua asked faintly. After all, this was Dong Huang's territory, and it could be considered the Empress's maiden home. It was better to be safe. Dong Huang Baiji stared ahead. She did not expect that she would encounter such a thing right after she came out. Yi Hua. Dong Huang Baiji called out lightly. What happened? My legs are a little weak. What's wrong? Yi Hua asked worriedly. It's all because of you. How dare you ask me what's wrong? Yi Hua, let me do it. Yi Hua stood in front of Dong Huang Baiji and protected her behind him. According to the usual practice, Yi Hua had to take out a stick of cigarette and light it up. If not, he would feel that something was missing. Just as Yi Hua was about to speak, everyone kneeled down. This time, Yi Hua was completely stupefied. What is going on? Are you guys kneeling to me? Or kneel to the Empress? Right now, Dong Huang Baiji was also feeling very tempted. Why do I feel like they are kneeling down to me? Could it be that I have already been exposed so quickly? But none of them were. Greetings, great uncle. Tens of thousands of people shouted in unison. That kind of majesty immediately swept across the entire place. Wan Wan's face was already pale from fright. Why did something happen right after I just walked out of the door? I told you not to come, but now, the grand uncle of the Dong Huang clan is here. That was Dong Huang Zizi. Within the entire Dong Huang clan, he was the one with the most seniority. Two people walked over from afar, walking in the air with a majestic aura. Even before they arrived, their auras had already arrived. Yi Hua slightly narrowed his eyes and looked at the two people who were walking over. That old man should be Dong Huang Ci. As for the young man beside the old man? Then I don't know him. Wait, this shouldn't be called a man, right? It doesn't seem like a man. This man who was not a man was, of course, Dong Huang. However, Dong Huang Ying had never thought that he would see his Empress in such an occasion. Empress is even more beautiful than before. I, Dong Huang Ying, am the man who is going to marry Empress. No one is as noble as I, Dong Huang Ying. This man. It's this man again. Back then, when Ying family showed off his might and made Ying family become his lackey, my father didn't dare to disobey, but I dared to. Empress is my, Dong Huang Ying's, woman. No one should even think about tainting her. Who will? Who will? Empress, why don't you look at me? It's me. Back then, you wanted to marry me, why didn't you keep your words? Furthermore, you don't even recognize me now? Dong Huang Baiji naturally didn't recognize Dong Huang Ying. Back then, she only said it in a fit of pique, and she didn't even meet Dong Huang. Fortunately, the betrothal gift was robbed, and the one who robbed it was even Death Mage. I really didn't expect this. Yi Hua, of course, wouldn't recognize Death Mage. I have only heard of such a person, but I have never seen him before. If Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi were here, they would definitely have seen Death Mage before. After all, they were the ones who stepped on the lamp wick and broke it. Right now, Qing Su was very excited. The fight is finally going to start. Do Fusher felt that it was time to show off his strength. Although he had been a little disgusted recently, his strength had definitely increased tremendously. At the moment, Jiang Wuyu and the East Emperor Pole were in the Orange Tower. Patriarch. Grand Uncle, bring some people and surround those people. A black-clothed man suddenly appeared and shouted respectfully. Dong Wang Ji Shang's expression froze. Got it. The man in black disappeared in an instant. He was really competent. Your uncle was faster than you, Jiang Wuyu said in a deep voice. Yeah. He seems to be in a hurry. Who is that person? Dong Wang Ji sighed deeply. You will know when the time comes. Let's go first. Things have already come to this, and you still won't speak. Is there any meaning to this? Jiang Wuyu hurriedly chased after him.